and a lovely morning it is out there. Welcome. The date is December 12th to our council workshop. As we have quorum, I will call the meeting to order. The time is 9 o'clock. As usual, I'd like to start off the meeting in a good way by acknowledging that the city of Maple Ridge carries out its business on the traditional and unceded territory of the Katy First Nation and the Kwantlen First Nation. Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Good morning. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded and will be available to the public for playback on our website in accordance with Council Policy 3.12. The primary purpose of a council workshop meeting is the receipt of information, review and discussion of policies and other matters of interest to council, and to make decisions related to such matters as required.
My turn. Yay. All right, so the first item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion for this agenda to move this item, please? Moved by Councillor Dode, seconded by Councillor Youssef. Any additions, comments, or questions? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, motion is carried unanimously. Thank you very much, Madam Clerk.
Thank you. The first item on the agenda is item 3.1, business planning, and staff will present.
Mr. Hartman, you're actually taking the podium today.
I'm gonna stand here today.
Oh, what am I gonna do? Lost without you on that side.
Kind of like having the distance, to be honest with you. Especially today. So good morning, your worship, members of council. Today is business planning day. The first of several conversations that staff are going to have with council. And we're doing a slightly different format. We took the feedback you gave us last year and we're modifying it to get us in alignment, not only strategically with your strategic plan, but also with the deliverables of OKRs. And those are the new version of KPIs that are going to inform department heads and operational staff on the direction of the organization as we move forward. So I know for the last process we did was kind of 3 days of a marathon session, all jammed together. We're breaking that up into bite-sized chunks this year. The other component that we heard loud and clear from council is that you wanted time not only to digest the information, but to really think about some of the strategic alignment and questions that you would have, and then allow us to go to the public and solicit their input and their feedback to make sure that where staff suggest we had aligns with not only council's strategic vision, but also with the expectations of citizens. And as a result of that, what we'll end up doing is presenting in February the actual financial numbers as we go through. So today you're going to get an idea of baselines. In January, I think there's a slide deck on this, Mr. Olivieri. Nope.
Yay, we're done.
We're done. Thank you. That's the fastest budget presentation I've ever done in my 25 years of doing this. So what the strategy is this morning is all of the departments are going to come and talk to council about core services. This is going to be an opportunity for council to revisit kind of the 24/7, 365-day operation that is the Corporation of Maple Ridge. This is the things that between 16 departments, what they provide to citizens and residents on a daily and hourly basis. You're also going to get a glimmer of some of the strategic direction that this council has given staff and the direction that we've taken with 2023 accomplishments. In January, what we're going to do is come back to council with the work plan discussion around the objectives and key results. We're going to do a touch base with council, and then we're going to go to the public and then demonstrate to them or solicit their feedback on, are we in the right direction with what we're proposing to do? And is council in the right direction based on feedback from the electorate? Then in late January, I said that's where we're going to do the engagement. In February, we're going to come back once we get the BC assessment numbers, which we get the end of December. That's going to allow us to fine tune, and then we'll get into a deep dive in the 5-year financial plan. And that is where you'll be actually setting tax rates and having your budget deliberations. And then our goal is to have adoption of the 5-year financial plan before spring break in March. And then we have ability to ratify that as we wrap up our year end, identify our surpluses. And then Mr. Thompson and Ms. Nolan will bring together the ratification before the May 15 deadline. So we have lots of time to explore the viability of the budget, as well as refine the work plans of staff as we go through the process of preparing for 2024 all the way to 2028. So just a quick corporate overview. What you see in the audience, or who you see in the audience, are mostly department heads and key managers that are going to be involved in today's conversation with council. So the corporation is really made up of a series of processes and frameworks. So as you all know, residents and the electorate, the citizens of Maple Ridge, elect mayor and council, and they provide feedback through a variety of engagement channels. And as council's aware, this year, the corporation invested heavily in new engagement software and new engagement frameworks. And our new centralized corporate communications and engagement department has provided some not only software and systems, but also processes and marketing material to ensure that council has up-to-date information and data that not only drive their decisions, but also allow the corporation to make sure that it remains in alignment with the vision and direction of council. Then you have mayor and council that's elected by the electorate, and they develop the strategic plans. They're on the governance side, they drive and implement policy, and they approve an annual business and financial plans. And then you get to a pinch point, which is me. So as I've said before, and just for the benefit of staff in the audience that may not have heard my presentation last year, the chief administrative officer is the only employee of council. I am the appointed representative to run the corporation by the board of 7, which is all of you. And all of the staff that work in the corporation theoretically report into me through a series of reporting framework and processes and org structures. So my job is I report directly to council, and I oversee the delivery of council's strategic plan, the vision and the business plannings that require for day-to-day services, as well as the strategic alignment with the corporation to meet council's objectives. And that deals with a bunch of policy work, a bunch of planning, but I'm the one person responsible to council, and all of the 800 employees behind me work directly into the CAO's office through a series of reporting structures. We have a series of departments and divisions because I can't do the work myself. And their job as the head of the departments and the staff that work in there is to ensure that the work plans align with the strategic plan of council and the general direction given by my office. And they oversee the delivery of those work plans, not only strategically and long-term, but also on the day-to-day operation of the corporation of Maple Ridge. And in the process of doing that, they manage a series of budgets and staffing requirements to ensure that we're able to deliver on the expectations of not only citizens, but on the expectations of council. And then, of course, we have 800 plus employees, and they are the ones that are actually doing the heavy lifting and executing the workload and delivering frontline services to residents in Maple Ridge. So just to give council a very quick high-level overview, a snapshot, the corporation has on its books about $2 billion in assets. This is everything from roads and bridges to rec centers and sewer lines and water lines and buildings. The 2024 proposed budget has about $116 million in capital, about $150 million in operating. It is a 24/7, 365 operation. I know at council we focus primarily on some of the key priority items, but there is a 24/7, 365 operation that provides services to residents. The corporation is divided currently into 16 departments with 831 employees reporting into it. That's 603 members of CUPE, 57 IAFF members, 75 firefighter POCs with 90 sect exempt members operating the corporation. There's 105 assigned Maple Ridge RCMP officers, not including the 23 that are paid for by the city of Pitt Meadows. So there's 105 that provide direct services that are funded by the corporation to provide policing services in Maple Ridge. The city itself is just shy of 27 hectares in area. Our latest statistics are 96,387, and we have 32,594 residences or units or PID numbers that supply and that we provide services to on a regular basis. That kind of gives you the breakdown of where we're going. Keeping in mind that council has directed staff and the corporation to update its housing needs assessment numbers, and that work will be coming back to council in late January, most likely February, where you'll get an update on where the aggressive growth numbers are going to come. And you've heard me say numerous times that the city of Maple Ridge provides service to about 100,000 residents. And so with the 2023 numbers, we're in that ballpark. When I say 150,000 in the near future, that number, and you're going to see the details as we get the number of units that we need to build based on the aggressive growth strategies, you're going to see that number bump up slightly above the 150 number. And so those are the things that we need to be thinking about as we provide not only services for the 96,387 residents that were here last year, but also for the next 55, 60,000 residents that are going to be coming in the next 30 to 40 years. And so we need to ensure that the corporation is built and designed in such a way that allows it to deliver on the services that are expected by members and by residents that move to the city of Maple Ridge. Any questions? No. Okay. So before I throw Joanne Rosen into the hot seat with the building department, who I believe is doing the presentation, I wanted to just describe to council what's going to happen this morning. So this morning, we're going to do core service discussions, as I talked about. This is an opportunity for each department. So there's going to be 16 presentations between about 5 to 7 minutes each. They're going to talk about what they do on a day-to-day basis and what they do based on strategic alignment with council, and talk about some of the 2023 achievements. You're going to have a whirlwind of departments. We'll break, I think it's every 4 departments for Q&A. And that just keeps the momentum going. So I suspect we're going to be here for about 2.5 hours as we go through each department to really give you an idea, a quick look under the hood of the day-to-day deliverables of each one of the business units. That'll give you a better understanding of where we need to go when we start linking the OKRs and the strategic plan in the future, and especially in January when we get back at it. Just for council and for staff's benefit, the Blaney room has been reserved and is reserved for all of us today. There are coffee and light refreshments in there, and lunch will be provided at, I believe, 11:45 or noon. We're going to break for lunch. So if you need to stand up and go, there is coffee and muffins in the Blaney room. Please feel free to do that. Mr. Mayor, you take a adjourn or take a pause whenever you feel you need to. Staff are prepared for that conversation. Okay. With that, I will turn it over to the building department and Ms. Rosen.
Yeah, just on that note, if you feel you need to get up and go grab a coffee, feel free to do that. Just be mindful of how many councillors are actually leaving to do the room. We want to maintain quorum, of course. So thank you.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. I'm Joanne Rosen. I'm the Manager of Business Transformation for the Building Department. And I'm currently considering working for the Planning Department because it comes for P way after B. I'm happy to start my introduction to Building Department. The Building Department regulates construction for compliance with provincial and municipal regulations. Essentially, our goal there is to ensure that we build safe buildings for safe communities. This work's done primarily and guided through the administration of the building bylaw and also the BC Building Code. Those are the primary legislative pieces that drive our work. The Building Department processes applications and in conjunction with that, conducts building and trades inspections to support permit issuance. The current Building Department is comprised of the Director of Building Services, myself with 8 team members who do the work at the front counter and permit issuance. There is a manager of permit and inspection services with 12 FTEs and an associate manager of permits with 7 FTEs. And the FTEs are building officials. They're plan checkers under the manager of permits, and they're building officials doing inspections under the manager of inspection services. So, let's see. Our core services. Our core services provide client information and support on building permitting and inspection processes. We do a lot of public education and engagement at the front counter, and each employee is responsible for ensuring that we support those inquiries, whether they're from individual homeowners or from commercial businesses. We review permit submissions for quality and compliance with applicable regulations, and we do the same again when we conduct inspections for compliance. We are a regulated team. We provide specialized inspection support for business licensing and bylaw services. We partner with them routinely and on a daily basis. We collaborate with our internal business partners, planning, engineering, and development, economic development, to ensure delivery of a comprehensive permit process. And we partner with industry and regulatory groups for continuous improvement and collaboration, and try to start to benchmark our best practices for a building department. Our 2023 achievements include being selected as a jurisdiction to participate in the provincial e-permitting pilot. We've started those meetings and are very active in that. I have colleagues in my department who have, as you will know, are actively participating in the Mayor's Climate Action Task Force and provide advisory services on the BC Energy Step Code and Zero Carbon Step Code and the Energy Retrofits Conversations. Total building permits processed, 4,411 from 2023 is an achievement, as are the 15,000 inspections conducted. The total construction value for the municipality is in excess of $200 million. And that was my quick overview of the building department, and I'm more than happy to hand this over to my colleague from bylaws.
Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Michelle Adams, and I am the director of the Bylaw Community Safety Department with the City of Maple Ridge. And I will start my presentation. The Bylaw Licensing and Community Safety Department provides a business-friendly, educational, and ambassador type approach when pursuing compliance of the city's regulatory bylaws. The department strives to operate in a fair and consistent manner and endeavors to protect the quality of life and safety of all residents alike. Our core services include voluntary compliance of all city bylaws. That's our key. We try and get voluntary compliance prior to taking any enforcement action. We also provide community safety services and resources for all residents. We provide general duty bylaw and property use enforcement when necessary. We administer business licenses, dog licenses, and city parking pass programs. We conduct park patrols and enforcement. And as you know, we have 2 new dedicated officers who will be patrolling and being ambassadors in our parks. We enforce parking and highway traffic. We manage resident-only parking permits. We manage the city's towing contract and services, and also the SPCA contract and animal control services. Our achievements in 2023 included developing the city's Who to Call pamphlet. It has become a valuable resource tool for the entire community, and we've been getting many requests, including from BIA. The city service contract was awarded this year for 3 years with an option to extend for another 5 years. Our Building Safer Communities Fund, which is the guns and gang project to keep youth out of these activities, accomplished its first year deliverables. Council executed the Building Safer Communities Fund contribution, and the project officially launched in late November, and work is ongoing. The initial Community Social Safety Initiatives Plan is now 100% complete. This initiative demonstrates the city is being proactive when dealing with social safety concerns while building out a larger community safety master plan. Adoption of the Intermunicipal TNS Business License Agreement Bylaw and the Intermunicipal TNS Business License Bylaw were adopted. Currently, we're negotiating a new contract for the SPCA shelter and animal control services, doing a lot of work there, and hope to have something for you in early 2024. We adopted the Intermunicipal Business License Bylaw and the Intermunicipal Business License Agreement. We amended the City Cannabis Evaluation Criteria Policy 6.33. So as of now, the Liquor and Cannabis Branch was notified that the city of Maple Ridge is no longer accepting new non-medical retail cannabis applications until further notice, with the exception of one location in the east. And in 2020, whoops, typo there, should be 2024 BC Summer Games. I will be the access control for security. I am the chair of special events and will be working with the Directorate of Access Control before and during the games. The bulk of work will begin in January of 2024, and our entire department will be involved in some degree during the games and before in preparation. We are a very busy department, and I'd like to thank all my staff. They're a great group of people. I couldn't do it without them. And thank you to all of Mayor and Council for your support through the years as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we'll go on to economic development, Mr. Westover. And after your presentation, we'll pause for a moment to see if anybody has any questions on anything so far. Thank you.
Well, good morning, Mayor and Council. Delighted to be here. Happy Tuesday. Economic development, basically what we are here to do is ensure that we have a strong and stable economy, a diverse economy, one that is growing. On top of it, what we end up doing is working with tourism promotion, with our film groups, partnerships and interconnection throughout the region here to ensure that we are able to level any of the tides that we end up seeing here economically, as well as then showcasing Maple Ridge in the best way possible as a place for investment, a place to play, a place to really be on the map. We have 4 FTEs within the department, plus myself. Great little and mighty team, I will say. Active, like I have not seen in very many places whatsoever. Some of our core services is working with new investors or those that are newly interested in, whether it be Canada, British Columbia, or Maple Ridge. So this is oftentimes a lot of teaching of investors of how Canada works, how British Columbia works, or how municipal government works in terms of permitting process in our economy here. Those who are interested in expanding their business or maybe having some troubles with their business and want to stay, want to find some different markets that they can get into. So that's business retention and expansion. We also market in with tourism and some of our experiences that we have here in partnerships with the British Columbia government, tourism destination groups, Destination BC being one of them, Destination Canada being another one of them as well, and then some other sub-regional groups. We obviously deal with as we come out of the film strikes, film permitting and those types of items, you will see far more activity as we go in through the coming year, as well as coordination within those groups and overall looking at new development within the film industry and creative industries here. And then we also end up engaging with other groups that are focused on investment attraction, on business retention expansion, banks, brokers, the entire ecosystem of economic development that we engage with, and that's a part of our core. As we look at the 2023 achievements, these are just a portion of them, but we're a fairly new team altogether, so we've had a chance to do with the support of HR people strategy. So what are the norms that we're going to have together as an entire group? How do we ensure that we're doing the right things at the right times for the right reasons and setting those expectations well into the future? So happy to say that we've been able to accomplish that earlier on in the year. We also, for the first time ever, have executive representation on Invest Vancouver's advisory committee as well. So this is showing regional leadership and also really high engagement with this foreign direct investment focused entity here in the region. So they're tasked with seeing more investment into the entire Vancouver metro region. We're certainly a voice at that table and quite active with them. We've had the Drake and Little Yachty music video, Goosebumps and Virgin River. So we've seen quite a bit of earned media for Maple Ridge and some positive news stories come out of those. So those are all really positive for us here. Have had a temporary employment job fair focused on film while folks were going through the strikes. So that, once again, positive news story here for Maple Ridge and showed within the industry that it's certainly a part of our culture here, if I can put it that way, that we do see quite a bit of film. Have taken the time where there have been the strikes to also look at our policies and fees. We will see those a little bit later on tonight in council as well, with some additional information that you were looking for. Illuminate Maple Ridge. So this is a seasonal activation, so to speak, that's focused on business owners. So activating in the downtown, making sure that we're focused on our small businesses here and making sure that they're seeing more market as we go through the holiday season and into the new year. We've had the service agreement with the Maple Ridge or with the Ridge Meadows Chamber of Commerce. So they're a very close partner of ours, same with the BIA, consistent work with either one of those groups. Small Business Month events. So for, I believe, the first time here in recent history, having a Small Business Month here in Maple Ridge. So Make It Here networking event celebrating women in business. Strong participation with the Economic Development Summit, of course, and then the Innovation Challenge. We've had presentations on a regional and national and international scope. So NGen is one of Canada's super clusters that's focused on advanced manufacture. Had a chance to be able to note not only Invest Vancouver, Maple Ridge itself, and then also the Ridge Meadows Chambers of Commerce as well to a national audience. We've also had a chance to be on a panel for High FCEL Canada. So this is focused on energy transition and some of the decarbonization initiatives across Canada and internationally, and showcase Maple Ridge as a location that is certainly wanting to see this type of development moving ahead. And then, of course, this is not our sole achievement by any stretch of the means. Everyone in this room and others are a part of it, but having the final investment decision announcement for E1 Moly, significant for our community in this region here. So we'll definitely throw that on the board, but say it's not necessarily just for economic development by any stretch. So with that, if there are any questions for the previous presentations, feel very free.
All right. Well, thank you for your presentation. I think being able to get onto Invest Vancouver is quite a coup. That's been a challenge even for myself to try and get on that panel, but congratulations on that. So at this point, I will open it up if anybody have any questions on the last 4 presentations. Councillor Youssef.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to staff for the presentations. Just a real quick question to Ms. Adams, if I may. With the renegotiation of the SPCA contract, is there any consideration to have them handling the dog license portion of the work that you carry out, just to kind of engage them and at the same time free up our staff time, if you will?
Unfortunately, that probably won't happen. They do sell dog tags at the shelter. So if a dog is surrendered and re-adopted or sold at the shelter, they will sell a license there. Someone can go in the street and purchase a license there. However, they don't have the capacity to do that type of work.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that clarification. Thank you, Mr. Chair. That was my question.
Thank you. A quick question. As a new dog owner, how long do I have to get my dog license?
Immediately.
Okay. We just got her yesterday, so. Okay. Councillor Dode.
Sorry, my question actually was for her also. During several community fund accomplished their deliverables, and I was just wondering if you mentioned just 1 or 2 of those.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
You did say that you did several community funds that accomplished all their deliverables. I was wondering what.
Sorry, I didn't bring my notes on that, but the Building Safer Communities Fund has funded the work with the RCMP in the city to support youth in our community. So it is in full operation right now. It launched in November, and the RCMP have counselors and outreach workers that are going out into the community and engaging with youth. We have some programs set up at the youth center that youth are engaging in to get them involved in our community and keep them occupied and out of that element.
Thank you very much. I asked that question because it was we had a meeting yesterday and we were talking about what the youth are doing, and I thought that it's appropriate that when you say something like this, you need to bring something like that out so that people will hear and understand what you have been doing. Thank you very much again for illuminating. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and this is the 1.6 million that we got from the federal government for guns and gangs. And I believe in that first year was more about researching on what they can do and how they can apply it to overall in our community to help with youth that's out there. But thank you. Okay. Being as we have no other further questions, we will continue to move on. Next on, we have engineering. Good morning.
Good morning. Let's make sure you can hear me.
You just ruined it for all the short people out there now.
Yeah. I'm Jatinder. I'm the manager of design and construction, so I'll be presenting on behalf of our team today. There. So our vision is to be a world-class engineering division that inspires the region. And as part of our mission, we're stewards of the city. We strategically plan, construct, operate, maintain infrastructure that prioritizes public health, safety, and the environment. And we ensure a high quality of living for our community and the future generations. The services we plan and construct do include water, sanitary, storm, as well as a multimodal transportation system that includes roads, sidewalks, cycling infrastructure, and multi-use paths, along with street lights and traffic lights. So we have a team of 35 staff, including 2 clerks and staff reporting to the design and construction, utility engineering, and development services, as well as transportation teams. Core services for utilities includes long-term planning. So this consists of identifying and planning growth-based projects for when that capacity is required. It also includes identifying condition-based replacements of existing assets, before the pipe has too many premature failures, but not so soon that we're replacing the asset well before the end of its service life. We also review development applications against the existing system capacity to make sure that new developments are not exceeding pipe capacity. Where that happens, we flag that so that the developer can upgrade those assets. And then as part of coordination with Metro Vancouver, we take part in conservation efforts for water conservation, inflow and infiltration reduction, as well as coordinating some of Metro Vancouver's capital growth-based projects for sanitary and water services. And finally, we also make sure that Metro Vancouver system and our systems for sanitary as well as water are interfaced correctly. Core services for transportation include long-term network planning that was, finalizing the Transport 2050 and strategic transportation plans. These were informed by, where the growth is going to be in the community so that we can extend our services to those areas when it's needed. We also coordinate with TransLink on transit and roads initiatives, identify and apply for grant funding for roads projects. And as part of Ministry of Transportation coordination, we coordinate the work in planning activities in Lougheed Highway and Haney Bypass, as well as coordinating some of ministry's capital projects, such as paving of Lougheed Highway last summer and extending or 4-laning Lougheed Highway east of 266th Street. Day-to-day activities include traffic calming evaluations, approving highway use permits, as well as road network reviews that include reviewing the accessibility and safety for residents. Core services for design and construction include delivering utilities and transportation capital projects that are planned for within the 5-year capital plan. We develop the project design requirements. We select the consultant and contractor to deliver that work through a competitive process. We use the master municipal construction documents and specs. That's the industry or the municipal standard across the province. And one of the, we do hire the contractor to complete the work. One of the common misconceptions and for the public might be that we control many aspects of construction that we actually don't. We hire the designer and we work with them to develop the design requirements, but construction is essentially the sole responsibility of the contractor. So they're responsible for the means and methods, and we don't typically dictate that. Development engineering core services include ensuring that offsite engineering infrastructure is, meets the design criteria. So ensuring that the development doesn't exceed the capacity of utilities that are fronting that development, or upstream or downstream as well, and as well as making sure that the road cross section meets the requirements for that area. When the utility system is going to be pushed beyond its capacity because of the development, for larger developments, we make sure that the developer is responsible for making those utilities upgrades, and as well as the frontage of upgrades that will require. Our team of inspectors make sure that the offsite engineering design or construction by the developer meets the design criteria, and our development team supports residents for local area servicing. So if a municipal service currently isn't available in a neighborhood and a resident wants to extend it, we provide them with information and support them in that. And we also support developers in latecomer agreements, which allow developers to recoup some of the costs that they may put up to upgrade infrastructure, and then later another developer comes along and benefits either directly or indirectly. So there's means for that previous developer to recoup some of those costs. So here we have a list of some, but not all of the key projects that we constructed last year. We have a neighborhood improvements page, and I encourage anybody who is interested to visit that page if you want to see some more pictures of that completed work or want to have more information on the project. This year, we also completed strategic transportation planning, flood response planning, drainage assessments, and water or sanitary and water model improvements. So these activities will help inform short-term and long-term projects in the engineering department. We also initiated the citywide asset management strategy. This will help our maintenance or our operations department in long-term maintenance of assets, but it'll also help engineering in planning for replacements of assets in the future at the right time, not too early, not too late. Again, we supported bus rapid transit study and advocacy, as well as the Golden Ears Way widening study, or advocacy, I should say. And these are now supported by the Mayor's Council in the 10-year Access for Everyone plan. And on the capital side, we implemented some process improvements, including implementing project charters across all projects. So these will help ensure that we have early stakeholder engagement and develop a lot of the requirements upfront, so that we minimize changes throughout the project, and it'll help us deliver projects in a quicker fashion, so more timely manner. And finally, we also implemented a scope of services template, again, which will help us in have consistent engineering services requirements for all consultants, and establish most or all of the requirements up front, so that we minimize design scope changes throughout the design process. And finally, we did progress the Fraser River escarpment analysis to quantify and assess the risk for development in the area. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we're going to move on to engineering operations. See what I mean?
Here we go again.
See, happens all the time.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Mayor and Council. As you all know, I'm Walter Olischuk, the Director of Engineering Operations. Public Works is a 24/7 operation. We're responsible for operating, maintaining, and managing the various essential infrastructure and services that directly impact the citizens of Maple Ridge. We take pride in providing efficient, proactive, and responsible customer service to the residents. And we're focused on the health and safety of our citizens, as well as protecting the large investment of public works infrastructure, underground utilities, and the environment. As you can see here, we have 93 full-time equivalent staff that work out of the operations center. I believe we're one of probably the largest department in the organization. And that's really due to the amount of core services that we offer at operations. And some of them being, for instance, our waterworks division. We operate one of Metro Vancouver's most complex water systems, and we're classified as a level 4 system, which is the highest possible provincial level given. We're also, which also means we're highly regulated, and we're also assigned our own provincial health officer for reporting and compliance reasons. We ensure over 3,500 fire hydrants are maintained and in top condition for Chief Sampson and the fire department whenever they require. We send in water samples to Fraser Health. We take care of the quarterly water metering on over 3,200 meters, and that's for billing purposes. And overall, we operate and maintain 430 kilometers of water main. In our roads department, we maintain over 535 kilometers of road, 7,500 traffic signs, the garbage litter bins. We maintain 16 bridges and 8 railway crossings overall. Our roads department also manages the city's pavement rehabilitation paving program, our traffic lane marking, and most importantly, they are responsible for the snow plowing and the sand salting operation. In our fleet department, consists of 4 mechanics and a supervisor, and they maintain over 300 licensed pieces of equipment for the city, as well as servicing 60 of the RCMP vehicles, 13 Ridge Metals recycling trucks, and the fire chief vehicles. And in the coming year, we're going to actually be looking at servicing all of the actual fire engine trucks as well in 2024. Our sewer and drainage section, they look after and maintain 336 kilometers of storm sewers, culverts, and grillages, and over 4,800 manholes, over 9,000 catch basins that also require cleaning periodically. And we install and maintain all service connections to residential and commercial properties, as well as the roadside flail mowing that you'll see out there each year. And of course, this time of year, we're dealing a lot with flooding and beaver dams, and of course, our annual dike inspections and our sewer flushing program. Finally, in our electrical mechanical department, we maintain 48 intersections that are fully signalized. Traffic lights, all the illuminated crosswalk lights that you see out there, and 5,200 street lights, which now are mostly converted to LED. We maintain, operate all the water reservoirs, the PRV stations, sewage pump stations, and water pump stations. We have 55 sites in total altogether. All of our stations are now quite sophisticated and require a lot of monitoring. So we also look after our SCADA system, which is a communications tool that we use for monitoring of our water and our sewer and our drainage systems. As well, we use it for video surveillance as well. Our electrical mechanical department also looks after all of our fleet communications for operations, PRC, parks, facilities, bylaws, and we're even actually provide emergency radio communications for School District 42 in the event that's ever required. And if that's not enough, we also maintain the Wannock Well, which supplies potable water for the area residents and provides the emergency water supply service for the fire department out east as well. And the Christmas decorations, we look after over 100 of the historical candy cane and bell decorations that you see up there each year. And we even have a dedicated little storage area for there. And not to be forgotten is our stores and shipping and receiving area that we supply the service for the entire organization. Some of the achievements I'm happy to talk about. Our clerks receive over 6,000 phone calls to date so far and have created and closed over 5,000 action requests that came into the operations center. We get everything from water leak calls to potholes to dead animals on the road, to even one of our favorite calls where somebody would call us and ask if we could stop one of their neighbors from cooking terrible food. But they also sent out 345 alerts on the new Voyant alert system that we have. Most of those are due to road closures that we have. And for Waterworks, we had one of our Waterworks employees achieve his level 4 water distribution certificate, which is critical for us. As you heard me saying, we do operate a level 4 water system. So now we have our level 4 operator. And thanks to the help of our IT team, we have transferred a lot of our water mapping to from paper to digital format now. On our roads team, we paved over 25 kilometers this year, and a lot of them came during the night to ease traffic congestion. You're welcome, Councillor Youssef. We poured over 600 square meters of new concrete and had much larger presence in the downtown core area, with the team now dedicated downtown to graffiti and litter and garbage removal and vegetation control. And as you all are aware, we worked closely with the U-Plan youth group this year, and we were able to install our new Pride crosswalk just in time for the Pride week this year as well. And the early part of 2023, we had 15 snow fighting days, and I believe our team received quite a few accolades all over for some of the best maintained streets this year. So we're hoping we keep that up for this year. Sewer and drainage team. We undertook a very large ditching program this year. We did 135,000 meters of environmentally sensitive areas of ditching, and we were able to gain access to Spencer's Creek this year to clean it out, which allowed drainage in that entire area to flow freely, which we really noticed a big difference when we had this previous atmospheric river events. And I mentioned beaver dams earlier, and to date, our sewer departments has removed over 20 beaver dams this year, and with the safe relocation of many of those beavers. And finally, our fleet department, we're proud of our new snowplow app that ourselves and our IT team worked on together. And this past Saturday, we were actually able to use it as we had snow out in the East End, and we were able to actually try it out. So hopefully you guys are all able to try that out this year too. It's a cool little app that we have now. We completed another clean audit of over 300 vehicles that we maintained and serviced. So what we get is CVSE does a drop-in visit, and they want to make sure that all of our servicing records and commercial vehicle inspections are completed. This year, we also more than doubled our electric vehicles, and we finally have a new flusher truck that just arrived this past week. So we're quite excited about that. And for all the achievements that we did, never mind supplying the best quality water or safely plowed roads, but one of our favorite ones is we did the Winterfest Parade Float this year that we were happy you guys were all able to join us on this year. So that's it.
Thank you very much. And I think there's a lot there that the public does not know that your team does. And I think it's high time that we start communicating that because that is quite impressive. So congratulations to your team. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the support.
Thank you. And now our favorite part of the day, finance.
Excellent.
Mr. Thompson.
Thank you. So unlike the departments you've seen prior, we're an internal facing service department. So we don't have the fancy lights, the fancy machines. We don't produce a whole lot other than annual reports, which may not be of huge interest to the public, and tax notices, which they'll receive. So with that, what do? We help council navigate through the business planning process with respect to the financial plans, help fund the capital that you heard about a little bit today, and we'll hear about some more. We collect the property taxes. We talked about dog licenses, collect the dog licenses at the front. You heard earlier about local area services. Those are funded and accounted for through our group, latecomer agreements and the like. All the metered water down at the revenue collections counter. So we have about 8 FTEs reporting in on the front counter. The manager of financial planning with 3 staff. And as you all know, Catherine Nolan, the deputy director of finance, takes care of the accounting side, including procurement and payroll. So as I mentioned, largely these are the core services, internally facing, financial planning. CK is the new manager there, taking care of largely the capital plan initially, but also the operating budgets that you'll see in the coming months. Procurement, you'll hear a little bit more of in the first quarter as we review our procurement policies, but really that is a function of managing risk and in getting best value for a procurement process. You'll often hear her say, competition is good. Payroll has been a little busier this year than most, and here are some of the achievements. Statutory requirements. So you might say achievements, these are required, and absolutely they are. However, we do celebrate as we finish these items as well. So this is the adopted financial plan, the property tax rate set annually through council, the financial statements, the SOFI report and annual report, as well as some other reporting requirements. This year, the annual property tax sale didn't occur, and that was actually an achievement. So this is where we proactively reach out to folks to make sure that they understand what's happening and if at all possible, avoid their house going to tax sale. There's new legislation on this front, and this is going to become a little bit more onerous and a little more expensive as well. We want to make sure that people understand the gravity of the situation, and the province has put down some legislation with respect to getting notice to the charge holders. So we'll have to send out some more registered mail earlier and some other processes. But again, annual property tax sale really is the ultimate collection tool that we'd like to avoid. Some other items. We are developing an RFP. So we've gone through our needs assessment with respect to a new financial system. This you'll see later in the capital program. It is something that, well, we've been running our current system since 1999. And perhaps one of the reasons why we celebrate getting our financials done on time. You'll see, as I mentioned, in Q1, the review of the procurement policy and some fine tuning there. We are working on our financial policies so we can deliver on all of these vast master plans and improvements to infrastructure and the like. So you'll see those come through the Audit and Finance Committee. Procurement has been busy, over 100 procurement processes completed this year. Some technology leveraged with respect to the payroll dashboards. So again, internally facing pieces that managers now can look up versus contacting staff and answering questions they may have. And that's largely the finance department. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we have fire and emergency. And after this one, we'll take again a pause for questions. Mr. Sampson.
I'm reluctant to touch the microphone, so I'll just leave it as is. So Michelle, it doesn't screw you up. Good morning, your worship, members of council. Dave Sampson, fire chief. Quite grateful to be here in this community. Really, quite simply, our job in the fire department is to serve the community. I'll walk you through our presentation and we'll talk about that. So currently this is our org chart as it currently sits. Not all the positions are full, but we really are broken down into these 4 divisions of administration, operations and training, fire prevention and community safety, and emergency management. What do those mean? Well, from the operations side, this would be how we respond with an all hazards response. So you call, we come. What do we go to? Well, we go to all fire events, which could be structure fires, vehicle fires, any miscellaneous fires. Motor vehicle incidents that could vary from requiring extrication, could be fires of the vehicles themselves, fluids leaking to the environment, and injuries to the occupants as well. Technical rescue, those are things like tower crane rescues, issues off Golden Ears Park, of trail rescues, confined space rescues. Medical first response. This, as you probably are well aware of, takes about over 50% of our response. It's very, very busy in that realm, especially here in this community. Special operations, this is the interesting stuff for swift water rescue and exciting to large animal rescue, which I'd never been a part of, but our team here is quite proficient at large animal rescue. And then, of course, hazardous materials, which poses a great risk to the public and to the environment. Our training division are amazing. They work extremely hard, and they oversee our recruit program. Our youth academy that you're well aware of, which is just a flagship project by the city. They oversee provincial requirements such as minimum training standards as set out by the Office of the Fire Commissioner, WorkSafe BC regulations, fire officer accreditation, and then of course health and wellness. I'm a big believer that it's our role to serve the community, but if we don't take care of our firefighters in a multitude of ways, from physical health, mental health, they can't do that. So we really focus on making sure that our firefighters are safe. And I will say, in my short 6 weeks here already, I am just amazed at the staff over at Maple Ridge Fire, dedicated women and men in uniform, care about this community, and work extremely hard. So I'm grateful to be a part of that. The not so exciting stuff, the not shiny red trucks, the administration and the leadership side, but I will talk about the administration side. I wouldn't be able to do this report without our admin staff, their amazing group up front. And then from the leadership standpoint, the chief officers, who we oversee all the topics that you see on the list here. I'm not going to read them all out. The one thing that I think is really unique for me is the corporate and regional relationships and collaboration component. In my time here, I've already witnessed amazing collaboration with all my colleagues here behind us, working together to really serve this community from a corporate lens. It's really exciting. Next division would be fire prevention and community safety. So these are some of the responsibilities, inspecting the buildings, making sure everything is safe, providing public education and awareness. Platoon inspections is our crews that get out and in between calls and inspect occupancies. There's very technical fire inspections, and then of course requirement to do fire investigations and very extensive building plan reviews. So our staff work exclusively with the building department on those plan reviews, as well as the enforcement of city bylaws. And we had some great recent partnerships and gains with Michelle and her team in some collaborative efforts on bylaw enforcement. The emergency management side obviously is front and center to mayor and council, and it's very important. It's really a collaborative effort from a city perspective, working towards how we can make sure that we're prepared. We house the Emergency Operations Center, as you are well aware, at Fire Station number 1, and Fire 4 Hall is the backup EOC. Some of the achievements, long before I got here, the staff worked extensively through 2023 on working on the fire master plan, which we're grateful to Mayor and Council for allowing that to happen. It hadn't happened in 20 years. It was a very important initiative. It really gave us a good snapshot in time as to where we need to go. Bless you. Although it has the word plan at the end of it, we really are looking at it as an opportunity to look at this document and then develop a strategic plan that's aligned with the corporate strategic goals as set out by Mayor and Council. So that's what we're busy working on for 2024. We responded to a record number of emergency calls, about a 14% increase from last year, including in there's about 500 overdose calls so far for this year. So extremely busy. One of the great things I spoke about earlier is our youth academy. So 25 years of that youth academy. It just brings a smile to my face to see all the young women and men that come out and, you know, they're at the charity events. They're working hard every Tuesday from 1 o'clock until 5 p.m. Working hard and then showing up. So many of them showed up to March on Remembrance Day. It was amazing. And then another big thing that is amazing why, you know, the men and the women that wear the uniform is the charitable events that they're a part of. So a lot of this is off-duty time. You know, so things like the Hamper Society, the Friends in Need Food Bank, Ridge Meadows Hospital, and then as well as the BC Professional Firefighters Burn Fund and Muscular Dystrophy. So those are the 5 charities that have contributed over $55,000 so far. One thing that's not on the list, and I spoke to a little bit earlier, but it's that I would say is an achievement for 2023 is that collaboration aspect with the city partners, but also with local 4449 of IFF. We've made some great strides already in this year and continue to work towards that in next year. That's it.
Thank you very much. Quite surprising to hear that we had a 17% increase in 14%. Still a lot. All right, thank you very much. This time I'll put it up for questions. Councillor Carreras, followed by Councillor Schiller, by Councillor Youssef.
Just a question. I have 3 questions. Can I do it all at once or do you want to?
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Engineering operations, Walter. You had mentioned about our water system being one of the more complex ones in a level 4. What is it about it that makes it a more complex system? And is it more complex in the Lower Mainland context or in the province context?
It's more complex in the whole entire provincial complex. So the reason why we're a level 4 is a few reasons. It's topography. We have lots of hills and valleys that the water mains have to go down. It's the way we have to store a lot of our water. So that we always monitor the chlorine levels and stuff, so it's not stagnant. There's nobody to the north of us, nobody to the east of us, nobody to the south of us that helps us move the water. So we are the last in line of receiving Metro Vancouver water. So those all in combination are reasons why we're level 4.
Perfect. Thanks. I was just curious because of the first I'd heard of it. And one more second question for you. This snow app that I'm hearing lots about, can maybe, because it's a public meeting, maybe tell people how we can get the app, where we can find it? Because, you know, we're getting into winter and we all.
Yeah, so right on our website, actually, it's right on our website. And if you just go to the Maple Ridge website, and there's a link on there that you can get to the mapping.
Perfect. So mapleridge.ca. And then a question for finance, Mr. Thompson. You mentioned new legislation around property tax sale. Can you tell us about, this is the first I've heard about, and I'm pretty good about watching the new provincial legislation, but I didn't know this one. This one got through. So can you tell me a little bit about what makes it more complex and what some of the changes were that we'll have to be aware of as we go into the next year?
Thank you. So I haven't read it myself, hearing it through my manager, Phoebe, was talking about the requirement to basically notify. So we have to send registered letters out fairly early in the year to all charge holders on the property.
Okay.
So what that means is potentially up to a couple thousand registered letters. So we'll work hard to avoid that, sending out letters earlier and trying to get those numbers down. But it is a cost, but it is again a notification so that they're aware of what's going on.
Okay. And maybe it's an opportunity to have a report at some point, just not a big report, but just some detailed changes, because I think that'll be a big key for most of the departments is changes from legislation the next year. And then I have a quick question for Fire Chief Sampson on fire and emergency. You had talked about 50% of your calls are medical response calls, and there are all sorts of different types of medical response calls and lots of conversations in all sorts of areas about fire taking a lot of medical, and health, of course, is a provincial jurisdiction. I'm just wondering, are there things that would, I mean, a lot of times fire is the closest to an event and you are the first ones on scene, thankfully. Is there anything that would help reduce or take pressure off your department? What are sort of the things that you would need to help support that?
Yeah, thanks, Councillor. Through the chair, we've actually submitted for our plans for next year, a plan to address that, being that, you know, fire is our core operations, our responsibility to protect the community. So because, as you mentioned, that, you know, pre-hospital care is technically a provincial requirement run by BC Ambulance Service. But in our approach to serve the community, we respond only to the high acuity calls. So we are looking at, our proposal is to implement a two-person medic unit, potentially with a electric vehicle as well, to meet some climate initiatives, to take that pressure off the base core fire operations for the city.
And so medic, that would be is that sort of replacement of an ambulance, or just?
My apologies. So
Yeah.
it's not for transport, just for response. So certainly not to take the role of BCEHS, but just the same type of response, but just a two-person unit in a smaller vehicle to respond to the large number of medical emergencies that we are responding to in that high acuity function.
And if there are ways that we can help advocate at a provincial or a federal level with things, please let us know too, if there's ways, because advocacy is a big part and we do have opportunities to do that.
Yeah,
with senior
thank you.
levels of government. So
Thank you for that. And I think, you know, that one of the issues that I would like to delve deeper into is understanding what the allocation of BC Ambulance Service vehicles are to this region. I won't speak to as facts because I've just heard, you know, numbers, but I don't believe that the numbers are where they should be. So that would certainly be an area that we could have a discussion about to advocate for more allocation of cars. I know that they are very challenged with their staffing levels across the province and especially in the Metro van area. But when we look at the frequency of calls and the severity of calls that are happening here in this community, I think there's plenty of data there to advocate for that.
great. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Schiller.
Thank you, Chair. My question has been asked and answered.
Oh, even better. Thank you very much. Councillor Youssef.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And again, thank you to staff that have presented. Chief, before you sit down, I'll start and work my way up the list. That way we're not having you sit down and back up. When we're looking at the responses, as was just mentioned for the medical responses, have we considered, or your department considered, working with or approaching Fraser Health, for example, to have a mental health nurse present, not only to possibly train your staff, but to also respond to some of the calls that you would be getting?
Yeah, so through the chair, Councillor Youssef, not that I'm aware of. There are certainly safety concerns when it comes to this, but there are programs that have been in place that are not necessarily in emergency situations. I know that they are mobile action response table situations with Fraser Health that they've been involved with. So we can certainly explore those opportunities. As it sits right now, from an emergency standpoint, it's really just police, fire, and BC Ambulance Service that responds in the field in an emergency fashion.
Thank you for that. And last question through the chair. May I share the numbers that you shared with me earlier about the fantastic work that your men and women were out doing this weekend on a blustery Saturday, blustery, rainy, cold Saturday? May I?
100%.
Thank you very much for that. Mr. Chair, on the Saturday for the food drive, both shared with the Friends in Need Food Bank and the Charity Hamper, there was $12,500 of donations collected in one day in our community. So that's testament to the great work that they do, as well as how wonderful a community we live in. Moving on, if I may, through you, Mr. Chair, to engineering. Now, understanding that Bill 44 is still fresh and rolling out, there was comments made about how the offsite servicing goes through your department to ensure that we can handle the capacity that's moving forward. With now the advent of having a fourplex going into an RS1 single family unit, does the department still have the controls to be able to say, yes, this would work in this neighborhood? Or is it now that we're kind of on the back foot up against the ropes and we have to deal with the density that will be coming in? Through the chair.
Through the chair to Councillor Youssef. It's a tough question. We did just the other yesterday. We had the opportunity to meet with the province, and they walked us through, and we're able to answer some of these questions. If I might.
Sorry, I don't mean to put you on the spot.
It's a tough question.
It's a tough time that we find ourselves in.
Let me take a swing at this one.
Please.
You're going to get a corporate response, Councillor Youssef. As council's aware, there's been some significant changes coming from the province. And as staff are going through the new legislation on the guidebooks that were literally just released Friday afternoon, there's a series of webinars that we're all getting brought up to speed with. I think the big challenge that Metro Vancouver is having right now, dealing with some of these components of infrastructure, is with the province saying that what would normally be a standard household with a number of toilets, a number of sinks, and the pipes in the ground are designed at that level. And with this radical change, the city is looking at its entire drainage and sewage program, because we will need to be making sizable investments in upgrading, especially the force main going down Lougheed Highway. When you think about when that was put in originally, it was put in back in the 60s, 70s, when that area was imagined for the first time. With the advent of BRT and the ability for us to reimagine what Lougheed Highway looks like, and the Lougheed Transit Area Corridor Plan, and the direction that council's given staff to further refine those details, we also need to be looking at the infrastructure that goes into that area. And so staff will be coming forward. You're going to see this in the capital works discussion. You're also going to see this coming forward in first quarter of 2024, with conversations around what the next timing needs to be as the city prepares to grow, not from its 100,000 it is now to where it needs to be at 150, almost 160,000 by the year 2040. So there's a lot of work that our planning and engineering and our building departments are doing, as well as with our protective services. And that includes everything from our bylaw and our CSOs, not only our fire service, but also our police department, and how we're going to provide services to meet the increasing, not only demands of the citizens today, but the citizens that are going to be joining us in the next 40 years. And so this is where we need to be very strategic in our application of this new legislation, because we can't do it all at once. We've got areas in our community we need to densify, and we know that the LTCAP, the Lougheed Transit Area Plan, is one of those areas we can accommodate densification very strategically. We also need to look at our downtown core. And with the application and the recent sale of Haney Place Mall, we're working with the developer on what that next 5 to 10 year horizon looks like for the redevelopment, because this is where you can densify. This is where, with the advent of BRT, when we get an actual line of sight of when construction is scheduled to begin, council has the ability to start making strategic and sizable investments in the infrastructure. That is the ripple effect of this legislation. And talking with all the CAOs at Metro Vancouver, we're all facing the same conundrum. So the challenge is with the fact that the game has changed slightly, we need to become much more strategic and laser focused on what is going to have the most immediate impact to the community and provide the most benefit in the advent of DCCs and CACs and the new ACC regulations that we're all having to work our way through. At the end of the day, we can't do it all at once without impacting 93% of our taxes, remember, come from residential. And so that is why the work that Mr. Westover and his team are doing, as well as Ms. Best and her team, are focused in on is attracting the right type of businesses into Maple Ridge that are not only going to reduce the loading on our roads, but are also going to start looking at where those strategic investments come from a job employment perspective. And that is why council's directed staff in 2023 to undertake a variety of surveys and studies that will be coming to you by the end of the first quarter. So we look forward to having this more detailed conversation, which is one of the main reasons why we've pushed this budget cycle out into February, is to accommodate the ability for us to make some changes once we receive some of those strategic reports that are going to inform the decision making we need to do for the next 4 to 5 years in the city. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you very much for that corporate answer. And if I may, Mr. Chair, just real quick, will our engineering department still have the levers or controls, if you will, to either approve or deny the development of a fourplex, let's say in a neighborhood where there isn't the capacity for it in the infrastructure to handle that growth?
The simple answer is yes, because
Okay,
you can't build a bunch of houses and not have it connected. The challenge then becomes is how do we find a way with the provincial legislation to ensure that we're not overburdening areas of our community that already have or lack those abilities of infrastructure. And based on my previous response, it's really about focusing on areas where we're allowing densification. The example I used with Councillor Schiller at the last meeting was you don't necessarily want to build fourplexes out in Ruskin where you're on well water and you're on septic fields. So the city has to hit its targets. And the ability for us and the flexibility with the legislation is to focus on those areas that allow us to densify reasonably and rationally, as well as to ensure that we're hitting the numbers required by our housing needs assessment. Council is going to receive that report in the first quarter of next year, and that informs the Housing Accelerator Fund application that Council endorsed for $33 million. And we should be getting some information on that probably by the end of the first quarter of next year as well. So all of that will inform where we need to strategically be investing, because as I mentioned before, you've got 29,000 hectares of land. You can't develop it all at once and all over the map. We need to be focusing our efforts strategically on what investments make sense and what investments have the most bang for your buck to densify in the areas that are going to accommodate the high level growth that we know that this community is positioned for.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And through you, Mr. Chair, my last question is to Mr. Thompson. Not to take away from the rest of the presenters, but yes, your presentation was riveting. And through you, Mr. Chair, have we considered a policy, or do we have the ability to implement a policy of preferred vendors for the municipality, specifically focusing on some of our local companies and contractors that we can utilize?
So I think there's some mechanisms around, I forget the term with respect to, what's the term, Catherine, for the local vendors?
You're using your
Sorry,
call
I'm
a
looking,
friend.
everybody get their steps in today.
So there are trade agreements in place that have limits that require us to go to competition. They do not allow us to limit our competition to local suppliers. So one of the things we are looking at incorporating into the policy revision is underneath those thresholds, what are we able to do that will support our local vendors? So you'll see that coming forward early next year.
Excellent. I'm very happy to hear that. And I apologize if I've spoken to this before, but looking at those preferred local vendors and offering them the ability to compete against others while still having sort of a buffer. To use an example from a previous chapter, local vendors and suppliers were given up to a 5% buffer, whereas if they met the same bid of a non-local competitor or possibly were over by up to 5% of the value, they were still considered in the running. So that's kind of the vision that I have, if that makes sense.
I will make sure that's communicated to our procurement.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Those are my questions.
Thank you. And just to jump in on one of those comments, the full magnitude of the recent legislation from the province is yet to be felt. Conversations happening with multiple mayors, trying to understand the magnitude of it. And the province is still doing technical briefings. And the mayors are all digesting a lot of this information, trying to understand the actual impact. So separating the reality from the rhetoric is something that that's important. And I know that my fellow colleagues across the table are all seized with this legislation and what it actually means to us. So stay tuned. Thank you. Council. Yeah. A little bit more than all week. Councillor Tan. A point of order?
It's not a point of order. Can we just have a quick 5 minute? I don't like to leave during the presentations. I know you
Yeah.
said we can all leave and come and go,
Yeah.
but out of respect, I like to hear all the presentations.
What I want to do is just finish this round of questions,
Okay.
and then we'll go to there. Councillor Tan.
Thanks, Mayor. I'll be nice and quick. I just had a follow-up to get finance to put in those steps around the procurement initiative. I'm curious if finance or any other department could just share with us, has there been any work done in the municipality with the BC Social Procurement Initiative or any similar social procurement?
So thank you for the question. I believe Ms. Talenchuk is looking at incorporating some social procurement elements into the policy. As I said, she'll be bringing that forward to you early in the new year. And I'm sure she would look forward to that feedback.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ms. Nolan. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Any further questions on this round? Seeing none, why don't we just take a quick 5 minutes? Good enough for everybody? Okay, let's go fill up your coffees and do what you got to do. And we'll see you back here in 5 minutes. Thank you. Where is Jose? We can make our way back to our chairs, please. Yeah. I'm giving you a 30-second heads up. You're good? Okay. The question for human resources. How do I get everybody back to their chairs in a nice, responsible manner? without.
I can't do it though.
Meow, meow. Yeah, but I don't want to bang my gavel. Since we got human resources, what's the right way to do it? Kindly, please make yourself to your chairs. All right, now that we're all fueled up, thank you very much. We have human resources then. Michelle.
Uh-oh. There. So good morning, Mayor and Council. As you know, my name is Michelle Lewis, and I have the privilege to support our CAO, our Deputy CAO, to lead the strategy for the Human Resources Strategic Plan. I do this in concert with the leadership team, the management team, our unions, CUPE and IAFF, and the exempt staff. We're going to be talking about people right now. And I couldn't do it, or we couldn't do it, without
the team of 11 full-time equivalents. So I'm actually going to spend a bit of time to talk about them. And I have two of them right here, Cynthia and Hannah. So we have my role as the director. We have currently recruiting for one human resources manager. And then we have the human resources manager for integrated talent management, and that's Hannah Park. We have our manager for labor, employee relations, and health and safety, Chris Gonev, who is upstairs in his area. And then our manager for human resources for total rewards, Cynthia. Those teams below, we also need, we also have Dee, Odeer, Dylan, Peter, Susie, Catherine, and Joanna. The way the team works is we have managers, advisors, specialists, and as well so associates. So that's the team. Mighty team. We have a vision to be recognized as the employer of choice, provide innovative client-centered services and results-oriented human resource management and practices. We've almost met our vision, and we'll know in February. We are strategic partners in the attraction, development, and the retention of our workforce, building a high-performing, diverse, and inclusive culture aligned with the city's values, strategies, and needs of our stakeholders. So as you can see with this team, we don't do it by ourselves. We do it across the organization with all these wonderful staff members across the organization. We provide people support across the organization, and we do this through a human resources business partner model. What that means is myself and my HR managers provide one-on-one support with the directors and managers, and basically a one-stop shopping related to human resources. So you have your generalists that can explain and help them navigate. We, in essence, support the business to enable them to be able to push through the mayor and council strategic priorities. And you're going to hear more about that this afternoon. Our service standards are what we all believe in is we care, we're professional, we are open and approachable, reliable, courteous, and try to be personalized in our services. So that's us in a nutshell there. Our core services, we provide support in, so this would be from a strategic perspective. We provide support from a performance management and accountability framework, both from the exempt and union perspective. We are working on organizational culture and transformation. Human resources advisory services. I just talked about that previously. My role is to have oversight on the human resources management team, and we work within the leadership and succession planning. So that's at the strategic level. We're going to go down a level now and talk about Hannah's area, integrated talent management. And I'll just make sure I have the information here. So each functional unit has a strategic plan that aligns with the HR strategic plan, and which also aligns with the mayor and council priorities. They each have work plans that are developed, and they also have SMART objectives, specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, time-bound objectives. And they're currently finishing up on their 2024 objectives to get ready for the new year. So within the integrated talent management, lots of work being done on recruitment, selection, and onboarding, training, learning, and development. And in our achievements, I'll explain a little bit more what we've done. Succession and leadership development, coaching and mentorship. That's within the integrated talent management. Then we move over to the employee, labor relations, and occupational health and safety, working on collective agreement administration, performance management, progressive discipline, HR policy, safe work procedures, and safety risk management. Those are the areas that that group looks after. And then from a total rewards perspective, we work in the area of compensation and benefits administration, job evaluation, wellness programming, pension and retirement services, and disability management. A key area for us is the wellness, and you heard the chief talk about mental health and supports. We work, as I said, across the organization, supporting our business leaders' needs. Employee experience and engagement, so it's appreciation and innovation, equity, diversity, and inclusion, organizational design and consulting, and employee feedback and engagement. So those are the 4 areas of our business in HR. So the achievements, I grouped them into some sections here. So new ways of working. So we launched an employee engagement survey March 22 to April 11th, and we had 389 responses out of 756 employees. So approximately 71% of full-time employees responded, which is excellent. We developed and launched an employee innovation initiative and innovation day to generate ideas to enhance the city's services. So that was on April 14th, the ideas were submitted. And on May 15th, they were pitched. And the ideas had to do with improving process, finding cost savings, improving customer experience, and improving employee experience. And 12 ideas were pitched. So that was cool. And we're still working those ideas through. Let's move up to CUPE. So that's meant to be IAFF 4449. So there's a little typo there. Commence bargaining with our two locals to renew fair and equitable agreements. So CUPE, December 14th, will be kicking off. And then 3 dates in January, our chief negotiator will be our deputy CAO, and I'll be supporting, as well as Chris will be supporting as well. We have the IAFF, and December 19th, we'll be kicking it off, and 2 dates in January, and the chief will be the chief negotiator, and I'll be supporting him as well as Chris, just to give you a little. So it's going to be a productive quarter. I don't like to say busy, productive. Got a lot going on. So organizational realignment. So in support of the CAO, we spent a fair amount of time realigning the organizational structure to integrate across business silos and to ensure role alignment. So I'll just leave it like that. So we did go through that period of time. We talked a little bit about recruitment. So good news, we hired 165 new hires to date. So we hired a CUPE, 123 employees. Our members, exempt 18 and paid on call 20. We had 165 orientations, and we also went through our onboarding process as well. From an equity, diversity, and inclusion, we met approximately 80% of our equity, diversity, inclusion action plans and to ensure a diverse and inclusive work environment. I said 80% because it's never 100%. We've got to continue to grow. We're now looking at partnerships from an inclusive perspective with various partners within the community. So it's getting quite exciting, the work we're doing in EDI. So an example of what we've done, or several, is Diversity Moment Catalog. We had 12 diversity posts on the internet, 6 in the Ridge Revealer, which is our newsletter. We hosted 4 inclusive experience events. For instance, International Women's Day, Pride Month, National Day of Truth and Reconciliation, and Beyond the Blues. So just as a few examples. All right. And so moving on to enhancing the employee experience. So notice I started saying excuse me. So we designed and developed a hiring manager certification program pilot. What we're trying to do, the draft will be ready for Q1 of 2024, but this is to provide the tools and assistance to our frontline management. So what we want to do is, from a hiring manager, they will have unconscious bias training. They will have various styles of recruitment and training. And what we're hoping to do is that at the end of it, they will have the tools and skills to give them more confidence, especially the new managers going through the process. We have delivered 2 refreshed new employee onboarding, and I think, Mayor, you may have been outside when some of our onboarding cohorts were running around the city doing a scavenger. Lots of energy, really, really positive. We had 25 go through first session, and we had Dee and Hannah actually work in this area quite extensively. I need to give the kudos where it belongs. And then we had another cohort, which was 30 individuals. And during that time, we had both the CAO and the deputy CAO come and do just a little blurb on their role, the vision, and the feedback was tremendous. The staff really appreciated understanding where we're going, what we're doing. And then they really liked running around the city together in their own little cohort, learning about the various areas within the city. So good that we now have 80 people going in the first quarter of next year. So we're going to have 2 groups. So it's now become something where people want to go and they want to develop these relationships. So that's exciting. So we've completed our onboarding and recruitment process reviews. So always trying to use lean methodology, in some cases agile that that SV's brought forward to us as an organization, so that we can enhance, make sure that our processes make sense, they're not redundant, they take too long. We're always trying to refine. So we'll move over to the platform mindset. And so we did develop and launch a mentorship pilot for new managers. The directors volunteered, or I should say voluntold, but they volunteered, and they are providing coaching to those that are in new positions, as in other words, gone from the union into their first exempt manager role, or they're brand new to the organization. And the feedback is tremendous. We're probably going to, not probably, we will be launching this across the organization from a mentoring and a coaching perspective. We've delivered a BCIT leadership course, and that was program, I should say. We had 16 staff go through it. Feedback was that they were the cross-functional, and I have to say I was a little sneaky. I was able to get them to have a capstone project on HR transformation. So they helped me come up with my work plan. And there were some really, really good ideas. One that I'll just quickly highlight because it's on my mind is an internal career fair, where you actually have a career fair, but it's the staff talking about what it's like to work in their job, so the internal staff can see what everyone else is doing. It's so simple, but it's great. And so we have many other great ideas that, like I said, and the interesting thing is the staff level will be involved with my HR team on making sure that that we're transparent, accountable, and that these ideas continue. We have the SFU Digital Transformation Leadership. We had 2 cohorts, a total of 18 staff, and that was for the manager and the leaders. And I took it myself, and so that was quite the experience, but it's learning all about how do we digitize, how do we look at opportunities. And I'm going to say it the 150th time, a human resources information system, a platform to be able to transform. So, and some safety and wellness mindset. So Councillor Dueck, you'll like this. So we've researched, analyzed, and selected a disability management provider for complex cases. So we are with Pacific Blue Cross, and this is more of an expedited, tailored supports for those individuals that are coming up to long-term disability, and how do we support them so that they're best looked after and get the services as quickly as possible. We completed our core health and safety audit with an implementation action plan. We received 89% on it. And so we do have a detailed action plan, and Dylan is my health and safety specialist and is diligently working through rectifying some of the areas of opportunity. And then we implemented a mental health first aid training program. 10 individuals went through it, and it was held with Pacific Blue Cross and Canadian Mental Health. And it really gave us the skills to recognize, acknowledge, and refer, not to be a counselor. So that's really important. So we're there to listen, understand, and then refer individuals. So it's a safe space if you see someone. So our plan is to have more people having this sort of training so that they're implanted within the city and they can support when they see someone struggling. Often those that are struggling, you may never even know, they're just hiding it. It could be working even harder and harder from a place of anxiety or whatever in their situation. So want to make sure that we have those supports, and that dovetails with the work that Chief wants to do over in fire. So, and then over here, levers of change, future readiness. So we submitted the top 100 best application form. with my previous manager, Joseph. And we will have formal notification in February. So keep your eyes peeled. We've worked very closely with the CAO and looking at launching a pilot this year on our exempt performance management program and tying that with the OKRs that are going on as well. Now let's see. And that's it for me.
Thank you very much. And before we jump to the other one, just let me say that when any organization goes through change, it's always a challenging time. But the results are something that are actually visible. Everything from building a Christmas float to people commenting on drivers helping out people on the street. You're starting to see the end result of all that work is that people do take pride in where they work. And I think that is so critically important if we're to continue to advance our own strategic priorities. So just kudos for that and keep it up. Thank you. All right. Now we're going to move on to information technology. Hello there.
Hi.
Patricia Sagert.
Hi, Your Worship, councilors. I'm Patricia Sagert, the Chief Information Officer. Well, let's see if I can. There we go.
There you go.
It'd
I'm glad that worked because if it didn't,
be so embarrassing, wouldn't it? The IT department ensures that the city's infrastructure, enterprise applications are built, maintained, and secured to enable streamlined and efficient municipal operations. This is a great paragraph, but essentially what it means is we look after keeping the lights on, the basic infrastructure and enterprise applications that allow the employees of the city to carry out important municipal operations. Our core services are technical support number one. So the 800 employees all have end user devices. You have end user devices in front of you. We look after those. You can call us up, we provision them. We also look after cybersecurity, keeping the data safe. We look after technology-related project delivery. And the next two, enterprise application and network infrastructure administration and maintenance. Kind of boring, but this is keeping the lights on. We make sure that everything gets running and stays running. We also look after GIS services and data management and availability. In 2023, it's been a year of change for the department, but we have refocused on customer service delivery. We have created a business technology steering committee, which takes the power of determining which projects get completed and in what order and gives it to the directors. We've made significant improvements to cybersecurity posture at the city, and we've transitioned from high code to no code for map tool creation, including the snowplow app. And we've created a 5-year strategic plan based on mayor and council strategic priorities. Nothing.
well, that was short. No, you need to stay up there and talk some more. Actually, I if you don't mind, could you just expand on high code to no code? Is that what it said?
Yes. So for our mapping applications, in the past, you needed to do a lot of coding in order to make those beautiful maps, like the snowplow map, like mapping all of our fire hydrants and police incidents and all of that. So much code, so much time. Now it's a few clicks and it's done. So it took a lot of work to put that into place. We've just finished. But what it means is we can do more. People understand maps more than they understand reports. It's easy, it's fast, it's great for the citizens. So we can do more.
We like that. We like when you say you do more because now you've just raised your bar for yourself. So the Snow app, is that something that we created in-house or?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah, we did. And we did it with this low code. So we didn't have to buy an additional application in order to make it come true. We just did it ourselves. And we're actually enhancing that over time. So right now you can see where the plow is, but moving forward, hopefully soon, you'll be able to see where it was 10 minutes ago.
So as a new dog owner, can I get a map showing where all the fire hydrants are?
I actually, I think we have a map of all of the fire hydrants already that we use for fire. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem.
All right, next we have up Carolyn from Legislative Services. And we get to see her from a different perspective as well.
Thank you. So Legislative Services acts as a hub for local governments and has touch points throughout the organization. It serves council, all departments, and the public in some manner, most typically through the provision of information. We take pride in providing transparent, unbiased support and advice to all of the above. And the department provides the legal framework for the city through the development, review, and maintenance of bylaws and policies. Again, no shiny red truck in Legislative Services. The core services we provide include providing advice and guidance on legislation and council and committee meeting procedures and processes. We coordinate legal issues between city departments, our legal counsel, and the Municipal Insurance Association of BC. As mentioned previously, we assist with drafting and conducting reviews of draft bylaws and policies, as well as conducting regular reviews of adopted policies. We provide administrative support to City Council and their committees through the production and management of agendas and minutes. We're accountable for the general direction of legislative functions in the organization. And the department is the document resource center for the city and provides records management oversight for all departments. We ensure compliance with privacy legislation and process all FOI requests. To date, we are at 126 for 2023, which is 4 shy of double what we had in 2022.
Wow.
So there's been a tremendous increase there. The corporate officer acts as a signatory for the city, and our department files most of the organization's documents with the Land Titles Office. And finally, we conduct the general local election every 4 years and any by-elections that may be necessary and carry out any assent voting processes. It was a year of transition for Legislative Services, and I appreciate the staff that held things together until I arrived in October. The achievements that we can identify for 2023 were update of the council conduct bylaw and the oath of office that new councillors will take when elected. And also there was recently adopted a policy governance framework. That's it for me.
Thank you very much. I'm sure we'll have some questions for you after. Moving on to the last of this series, parks, facilities, and properties. Valerie Richmond, welcome. You have big shiny things for us?
Probably.
Oh,
Nothing big and red and shiny with wheels, however. Good morning, Your Worship, members of council. I'm Valerie Richmond, Director of Parks, Facilities, and Properties here with the city. And I'm really pleased here to provide an overview of our core service delivery, as well as touch upon some service highlights for 2023. So as the chart before you shows, there are 4 key service areas: parks operations, park planning and development, facility operations, and corporate properties, each with a manager and with 39 staff in total comprising the team. There is the statement before you. The team oversees the planning, development, renewal, and operations of parks and public green spaces and all municipally owned buildings. We provide and maintain the places and spaces that foster a sense of connectedness and boost community pride and spirit. Corporate properties moved into the department and manages the city's land and property assets. So focusing in on our core services as park services and operations, this functional area is led by Colin Priddle over here to my left, who maintains our park inventory with a land base of over 247 hectares of parks, green belts, and open space, and over 210 kilometers of community trails. This includes maintaining 70 parks, now 71, with the new Bridal Ridge Park coming to city maintenance, as well as 48, now 49 playgrounds, 18 sports courts, 6 synthetic, and 20 grass sports fields. Bike scooter tracks, 3 skate parks, you get the picture. We are stewards of the urban forest, and we maintain over 14,500 street trees intentionally planted in parks and streets, as well as a significant number throughout our green belts. We provide horticultural services and enhance downtown maintenance. And what this looks like is during the summer, you'll see hanging baskets and floral displays. A new pollinator garden outside of the Maple Ridge Leisure Center is coming our way this spring. And during the summer, you will see the festive light displays in Memorial Peace Park and along our roads in the town center. And you may have also seen our wintertime planter displays, a few of those enchanting greenery gnomes throughout the core. Finally, the operation of our 2 cemeteries is a core service. At this time of year, the Tree of Memories is a much appreciated feature, providing families with the ability to hang an ornament on the tree in memory of a loved one. Moving on to park planning and development, this area is led by Chad Neufeld to my right. This area provides systems planning for parks and recreational trails. We acquire parkland to meet community needs and in alignment with the Parks, Recreation, and Culture Master Plan. The team focus heavily on delivering of the capital plan, designing and constructing new parks, amenities, and trails, and engaging with the community throughout the design process. Engage Maple Ridge is our friend. I invite everyone to check in on that platform. We always have a couple of projects rolling out concurrently at that platform. So this area develops strategies as well to guide investment and renewal in parks, and also supports the development review process to ensure that parks and trails delivered through or in coordination with development meet city objectives. Moving on to facility operations, Michael Millward is in the audience to my left. He leads this area, which includes the maintenance and the operation of all city-owned facilities, including the flagship Maple Ridge Leisure Center, the shiny new Albion Community Center, 4 fire halls, City Hall, our protective services buildings, as well as heritage buildings. The team oversees the preventative maintenance and life cycle replacement for building systems in each of these facilities and structures, and replacement of components so that our assets are renewed. They provide frontline customer service in response to approximately 2,300 calls for service annually. What this looks like is our electrician, our plumber, our 2 carpenters, and contracted service providers close out these calls every year. We also provide project management support for our colleagues in recreation, fire, public works, and police services. Little known fact is that we also maintain 4 small drinking water systems throughout the community. So that's Wannock Hall, Wannock Lake, Fire Hall number 2, and Thornhill Hall. We also conduct water quality testing to Fraser Health regulations at our swimming beaches. I thought I skipped a slide. So corporate property, Daryl Denton is in the audience to my right. He leads this functional area, and this area oversees all corporate land holdings and property assets, negotiating acquisitions to support city business objectives. I will say that roads and parks keeps this area very busy. Important to note that the department supports a committee of council, the Parks, Recreation, and Culture Advisory Committee. The committee last week saw where we are at with our urban forest management strategy and provided feedback at this stage. It's currently in the development of a draft document, and we will be engaging with the community early in January. And also setting a target for our urban forest canopy through the process. Next week, the advisory committee will help prioritize the Parks, Recreation, and Culture Master Plan implementation, infrastructure, and strategies that outflow from that document. Okay, moving to the fun stuff now. 2023 achievements, starting with the completion of several capital projects, including Albion's newest neighborhood park, Suzuki Park, which was celebrated just a short while ago, as well as a new beach volleyball facility at Albion Sports Complex, which will be the venue this upcoming summer when we host the BC Summer Games here, and new wayfinding and a staging area for Thornhill Trails, complete with a bike repair station and a washroom at the top of 256th. You'll see here too, we are right in the midst of public engagement and detailed design, which is just wrapping up for 3 key projects. This includes a new neighborhood park at Pazarina Place, that's in the Tulaski Hill area by Thomas Haney, a multi-use pathway along the Port Haney waterfront lands, which connects the Port Haney Wharf with Kanaka Creek Regional Park. And this is the first phase of work on this very key property at our waterfront. As well, we have an expanded and enhanced destination play experience at Maple Ridge Park with significant engagement with our community through the process. And I'll invite you all to stay really tuned to Engage Maple Ridge. We're about to do the reveal on what the final concept looks like. We've already launched the tender process and are really looking forward to seeing this come to fruition this spring. Okay. In the middle of this pack, as you've heard before, you'll note that the urban forest management strategy is in draft development. Moving on to the next slide of achievements, we've supported the completion of the Parks, Recreation, and Culture Master Plan, which was adopted by you in earlier in 2023. And we also launched the feasibility study for a new aquatic facility and arena. We continue to support the Parks, Recreation, Culture Master Plan implementation and prioritization, and have also presented to the Agricultural Land Commission this September in support of the non-farm use application that will allow us to move ahead with an additional ice sheet at the Planet Ice facility. Okay, moving on, we've recently installed double columbarium units at the Maple Ridge Cemetery as we are almost out of our inventory. This is a offering at our cemetery that is very well received by the community, and we would like to see this continue. We have also renovated playgrounds that were at end of life cycle at Hammond, Cook, and Camwood Parks, and embedded more accessibility features in each of those playgrounds. Lastly, and I guess in wrapping up, we've expanded community garden plots at several locations, including a new idea of having temporary garden plots on private land for a 5 to 10 year time frame. And we put this in place using a temporary use agreement with a private land owner who approached the city on this. We've also improved the dog off-leash area in Maple Ridge Park and are looking to do the same in another one of our dog off-leash areas, as we call them DOLAs, in 2024. And we've expanded our recycling program through Return It BC. So it's my privilege to open the floor to any questions you might have, mostly for the other departments that went before me.
So before I open that up for questions, I wonder if you could pass on feedback to your team. Every event I've attended, whether it be Rock the Block or anything in the park, the response of folks in Parks and Rec have been phenomenal. They've been friendly, they've been engaged. We've received so many comments on their ability to interact with people, and that's, I just want to make sure that they get that, and kudos to you and your team for really encouraging that kind of behavior. This is, I think, one of the biggest things that helps develop pride in community. So just pass that on from us, please.
Thank you. And I'm also happy to share that Sid, who heads Recreation Services, is in the audience too, to be shared with her team as well as the two departments within Parks, Recreation and Culture.
Thank you. So now I'll open it up for questions. Councillor Carrera, followed by Councillor Youssef, by Councillor. Oh, everybody. Okay. Go ahead.
We're warming up now. We're a little slow in the beginning. I just have just a quick general question for Mr. Hartman. These slides are amazing, and they have such great little tidbits of like how many hectares we have of things. And can we get the slides shared with us into Teams or OneDrive or something, just so that we can reflect back on the great stats that are in here?
Yeah, so the council will be provided with a copy of the slide decks. The challenge that we had is this was live as we went through, even refinements as of last night and first thing this morning. So we'll provide council with the updated slide deck. Not to steal any thunder from Mr. Lifsh's presentation coming up in the next round, but comms will be pushing this out to the public as well, and this will form part of that public engagement component that we're going to be doing in January as we tell the narrative of how the corporation has evolved and where our struggles are, as well as where the future state of growth is in the organization. So
perfect. Thank you.
Yeah,
that was all I had for this one. Thank you.
Excellent. Councillor Youssef.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to staff for their respective presentations. I have a question for IT services, if I may, through the chair. Having gone through last term with COVID and how we were able to accept applications electronically, how far along in the process are we to a full implementation of not only accepting electronic applications rather than individuals walking in with boxes of paper, but to also having a preliminary or an initial review of those applications, so that when they are presented to a staff member, they've at least crossed a certain threshold or have been filtered enough, if you will?
I don't know that I could speak in a fulsome way to this.
If you can just speak into the mic, please.
Initiatives along this line are definitely underway. In fact, effective a few days from now, digital plan review will be live in the building department. That will be the first department. It will also go to planning and engineering, and we'll be able to submit plans digitally as well. So
thank you for that.
Going on
That's
down
great.
that
That's
road.
great news. I'm happy to hear that.
I also believe that we're part of a partnership or a pilot program with the province that is going to be doing pre-screening of applications before they even get to municipalities, and we're participating in that.
Excellent. And through the chair, do we have the backbone, the infrastructure, the electronic infrastructure, if you will, in place to be able to accept those applications electronically as of today? And do we have that ability, or are we still resorting to paper applications?
Well, they're definitely still coming in as paper, and we are working towards the ability to have the infrastructure in the back end to support it. We're getting there.
Excellent. Thank you. Godspeed. Thank you, Mr. Chair. That was my question.
Thank you. Councillor Schiller.
Thank you, Chair. My question is for Human Resources. Like, come on down on the prices, right? Michelle, it was great to hear about some of the very cool and exciting things that are happening in HR. And I just had a specific question as to whether the city is a formally designated living wage employer.
No, we are not.
Okay, could you elaborate a little bit on that? Sort of maybe where we're falling short or any work that's being done in that area?
From a living wage perspective, we're currently going through our collective bargaining.
Yes.
For both the fire and for CUPE, as well as exempt goes through its own compensation review. So from that, what we do is we evaluate the jobs against what for example, the exempt, what the value is. We currently I think this might be more of a closed matter. We currently don't put the differential between living wage right now. We don't do that right now.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Duick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is for HR, but the comment is in general. There's a common theme this morning, and what I'm really appreciating is the engagement with all staff and empowering all staff to be innovative and to provide their feedback, because the very people that do the job are the very people that know the job. So I'm hearing that through all the presentations, and that's really exciting. Mine is around the core audit. Thank you for flagging that. I think it's important for the rest of council to understand why the core audit is important and what it means to the city from both a wellness but also a financial perspective. And to complete the core audit, it means that not only is employees have to be engaged, it's the education, the training, it's a huge undertaking. So it's not as simple as just writing an exam. It means all employees in the city have to be engaged and understand safety. So if you could just explain the benefits to the city of doing that, aside from staff health and wellness.
Excellent question. So the benefits of this is that we've gone through a due diligence. So it's great to say you have these health and safety programs. With these core audits, they actually review and go down to the staff level and management. Do you know about this? So in other words, they're checking to make sure we're doing, and the key to that we're doing what we say we're going to do, and that it is actually embedded into the system and into our people. And so as one of the action plans, and we actually have 42 recommendations, that's how detailed it is. So I actually have a Dylan who is a specialist, and he will be going on. We're also working with Stefan, our deputy CAO, and our CAO are very supportive and expect that we will be growing in this area as we make sure that our safety, we're lucky. We have a city that really cares about its safety. So we're lucky that way, but as we grow, we need to be even more cognizant of it. The operations teams do a great job as well, but this is really almost like an accreditation. Have you done your steps? Let's go double check. Did you actually meet at Josh, your committees? Did you actually do your inspections? Did everything happen? And so and then if you do all that, then you get a percentage, and that's how. And so we actually have an external individual that comes in and audits and checks everything. And so all various levels are invited to have these conversations. Hopefully I answered that on the fly.
Thank
Okay.
you. Yeah, I'm sorry to do that. But then the last piece is the financial incentive with WorkSafe BC.
So I don't have the numbers off by heart, but I know that so actually I believe we got, don't quote me, but it's $80,000 to $90,000 came back to us for doing that.
Thank you. Councillor Chan.
Thank you, Chair. I have just two questions here. First, to follow up on the AI building permit process, could staff just give us a quick overview of where we are on the timeline and so what that would look like?
I'll do my best. So we have onboarded a program called DigiPlan in the building department. We have contracted out BC building code reviews to 3 companies that are currently in the midst of using the actual program that we are moving forward with. In the new year, we will be able to accept submissions, as Councillor Youssef had alluded to earlier, Councillor Tan, electronically or in paper format. The ability for us to move forward. So I think where Councillor Youssef was going earlier in your question related to other programs and applications that we're moving forward with. As council is aware, we are also in the midst of working through a process to be implementing CityWorks. And so we made the decision based on volume of work and a whole bunch of other factors to bring on DigiPlan in advance of the full implementation of CityWorks because of the need that we had to contract out some of the BC Building Code review work. So that program, Councillor Tan, is implemented right now. It is in our full suite of programs that our staff have access to. And like I said, we've contracted out digital plans now to 2 companies to begin the work for us. So we're implementing it now.
Thank you, Ms. LeBon. And I just want to make sure I understand the link between that and the provincial pilot with AI and building permits. Is that DigiPlan or that's separate?
No, it's separate at this point in time. Joanne Rusin from the building department is the project lead on the work with the 13 municipalities looking at the provincial requirements. That work, I know there's been a couple of meetings and workshops that they've had with staff so far. And when we have more to report on that, we'll make sure to report back to council on that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And my second question to you, Chair, is for the parks. For Director Richmond.
I could stand up here and wait and listen too. I could answer it, but I'll hand it over to Valerie.
Or you. I'll take any takers. I'll take.
I think I know what your question is going to be.
Around the waterfront park, it's good to hear that the first phase of engagement is complete. Will there be a report coming back to council around the first phase of engagement results?
Oh, you're going to be replaced.
No, well, I'm going to provide a response first, and then I'll let Valerie clean up the mess in aisle 3 afterwards. A couple things. We are in receipt of an email from you asking some questions related to where we're at in the process. What does this vision look like? What does the vision of the entire area start to look like in future? So Valerie and her team have been having discussions with Metro Vancouver and with the Port of Vancouver, who, as we have learned through this process, are an approver and a regulator of what goes on the shorelands. So those discussions are active right now. And when we have an update to respond specifically to your email, we'll make sure to do that because I know that it's outstanding. Now I'll let Valerie pick up on where I may have missed.
Happy to do that. So as Stefan has so eloquently said, the water shore lands are probably our most complex lands from a jurisdictional perspective. We've worked through the site investigation with the first phase of work and understand what the implications are from geotech, from archaeological, as well as a Ministry of Environment, a CP Rail crossing perspective, and Port of Vancouver. So we engaged with the community on the multi-use pathway, which we know is not necessarily something super exciting. But we also use that as an avenue to elicit some bigger vision, because the next phase of work now is going to be digging in to create the greater vision for this transformational site at the waterfront. But we need to make sure that all of the process around jurisdictional approvals is well understood and fleshed out.
Wonderful, thank you. And it would be good to hear about understand a little more about the jurisdictional scope there. And I just have one question for engineering that was negligent of not asking earlier. I don't know whether that's for this side of the room or that side of the room. Around the asset management review, I think I heard was completed or started this year. I just was curious about where the green infrastructure component of that asset management review was.
And you thought you were off the hook.
Through the chair, I could answer that question. Engineering's not here, but with Forrest leaving, there's a project group of a few of us here that we are moving forward with the asset management, going through meetings. We are looking probably in February is when we're going to be close to coming up with an actual program of where we are and where we're headed there.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Dr. Leszek.
Thank you very much. Seeing as how there's no other comments or questions, we'll move on to the last 4 departments. And we have Marlene Best from Planning. Yours will be the best presentation, right?
What direction? Okay. Good morning, Mr. Mayor, and council. This is the first time I have the pleasure to speak to you directly. Planning Department is responsible for forming the long-term planning, policies, and strategies to guide the vision for the future growth of the development of the city. This involves a wide diversity of responsibilities, which includes the OCP, area plans, heritage planning, agricultural policy, environmental policy, building inventory and statistical records, which all departments will be using, including demographic and employment forecasting. The responsibility for reviewing development applications, projects, and providing recommendations to council for the guidance of the future growth. We consist of approximately 25 people in 2 distinct divisions. There's the Manager of Development and Environmental Services and the Manager of Community Planning, which is what we affectionately call long-term planning and policy. Okay, I'm open to guidance. There's the button. There we go.
There you go.
Our core services, community planning involves a council policy development for regional planning and coordination. This covers OCP and bylaw reviews and updates. Housing policy development, area plan developments and updates. It includes agricultural and heritage resource protection and liaison with council committees. Development services involves the processing of our OCP and zoning bylaws related to development, as well as development and development variance permits, subdivision review, and approvals. ALR reviews come under our responsibility, as well as approvals of strata plans and various other permits such as temporary use, tree cutting, and soil deposit. Environmental services are responsible for the watercourse protection and enforcement, as well as habitat, tree cutting and soil permits oversight, erosion and sediment control review, environmental monitoring, reviewing development applications, green infrastructure implementation, and environmental policy development. Customer service is a very important part of our team. It involves advising and interacting with the public, land development applicants, nonprofits, and other levels of government and agencies, public consultation and work regarding open houses, maintaining the department website, interacting with our regional government, which is Metro Vancouver, and other city staff. We must staff and report on council committees, supporting such organizations as the Advisory Design Panel and the Board of Variance. Our department interacts regularly and consults with the entire different divisions and departments in the city. Thank you. Whoops.
Oh, back up.
We've gone one too many, I think.
You got to back up one.
Okay. No. Am I there? I want to go back.
You're pressing the wrong button. Forward.
That's back.
Yes.
Okay, you got me.
Where do you want to go?
Take back. Core services, core services. 2023 achievement. There you go.
One more.
Please. Okay, we've had a very busy year. Under community planning, we've had the housing update to council, which involved the initiating housing needs report, which is underway, and updating the tenant relocation and protection policies. Under Bill 26, recommendations were made for minor DVP delegation to staff, as well as we explored waiving public hearings. Under bylaw amendments in support of housing, allowing secondary suites and detached garden suites came forward in the ALR, as well as allowing larger suites in on residential lands. Under market analysis and land use studies, we initiated the industrial impact analysis. We also, under the Yenandon lands, presented a draft M7 employment park zone, as well as we've initiated the town low heat transit corridor area plan and associated studies. Staff initiated and carried out the first public consultation for Cliff Avenue, Selkirk Avenue, and 119th Avenue properties. This was the first public consultation post-COVID. We initiated the review and update of the Northeast Albion land uses, as well as developed updated off-street parking and loading bylaw, which will be coming forward next year. Under community planning continued, we've done a lot of work under heritage. We proposed a heritage conservation grant pilot program. We've prepared and presented heritage bylaws to conserve community resources. We've endorsed the endorsement of the Heritage Plan 2023-24, and we've prepared and submitted grant applications for complete communities, the Housing Accelerator Fund, and the endorsement of Council Policy 636 in the ALR regarding exclusion application process policy so that we align with provincial legislation. Thank you. Under development services, we've brought forward 140 new development applications, 110 pre-application meetings and land use inquiries, 250 tree permit files, 6 soil permits, of which 16 applications were received, and we wrote over 140 reports to council. We've provided ongoing support to the city's development application process, mapping, and optimization initiatives. We've been involved in the city's digital transformation of the development application and software and systems. And we've conducted key updates of the zoning bylaw housekeeping, which came before council in the last few weeks. We've executed a large number of development procedure bylaws, introduced the new combined first and second reading process in July of this year, and the development application fees were updated. Whoops, there we go. And thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we will move to Ridge Meadows RCMP. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, Your Worship. Good morning, Council. Thank you for having us here today. Just going to cover our department overview. So just quick highlights here. We have 2 divisions. One's our civilian department that supports policing, and one is our actual police operations. So just by way of the left side of the screen here, the detachment is led by 3 senior leaders that oversee all of policing. That's myself and 2 inspectors. One inspector is Mart Hangay, and the other inspector, as you know, is Adam Gander, sitting here today. So Adam runs our plainclothes operations and community policing and traffic, while Martin runs all of our frontline. We have 59 Maple Ridge police officers that are funded by the city of Maple Ridge. We have 12 that are funded by the city of Pitt Meadows, and 1 that's a provincial policing position. We are allotted funds through the province to do provincial policing. We have 3 of those positions in total due to our lakes and hiking areas and what have you, and waterways. So Vast majority of that does fall on the Maple Ridge side, to total 105 police officers resources. And on the Inspector Gander's side of the house that oversees support policing, he has 36 Maple Ridge police officer resources, 11 Pitt Meadows resources, and 2 of those provincial resources. So on the civilian side of the house, that is led by our police services manager, Alison McRae. She has an associate police manager that will be starting with us soon. They have 57.3 full-time employees for civilians, 0.3 because it's we have some part-time positions. That does not include our auxiliary, like part-time officers, not officers, sorry, civilian employees that come in. That's how we're doing for resources. In total, 131 police officers when combined under our integrated model, and 57 civilians. So just to go over our core services for policing, what we do. On the policing side of the house, the majority of our detachments made up of frontline police officers. We have a specialized response team. What that is like community policing units, like crime reduction units, essentially. Underneath that umbrella is road safety. That's our traffic services and our mental health unit. This is a fairly newer unit. It's been in operation for about 18 months. That's a police officer, a corporal, and a constable that work together that have direct connections with our health authority and hospital to streamline responses for mental health and policing. We have our serious crimes unit, which oversees all of our major crime investigations in the detachment. Our street enforcement unit, which does surveillance for that major crime team, but also drug investigations and property crime and those types of files. We have our administration department, which is our HR. They do the human resources for all of our police resources and also deal with our public complaints. And our media section and training section and wellness of the officers. Our investigative support team. These are teams that support frontline 911 frontline officers with domestic violence investigations, missing persons investigations, but also supports each one of our 4 patrol watches with more specialized policing help and support. Now, for our civilian side of the house, our municipal employees, we have computer support specialists that are just for policing to deal with our computer systems and what have you. We have victim services, crime analysts, a civilian media relations officer, crime prevention and community engagement. This portfolio oversees our volunteers. We have quite a large volunteer contingent. Alison, just by numbers, we have 70 police volunteers. Information officers, which is another word for our front counter administration clerks, our records and management team that oversees all of our police records and files, our fleet for our very large police fleet, and exhibits for police exhibits, and our custodial guards in our jail cells. Just some quick highlights here. This year, we mobilized our Ridge First. This acronym is Family, Youth, Resource, and Support Team. So there is a full-time police officer who's employed in this team and supported by sorry, there used to be a picture up here, so I'll describe that picture instead of the team. So we have Tisha, a full-time police officer who's a youth liaison officer. We have a counselor, a youth and family counselor, and we also have a youth outreach worker. This team was actually made possible through funding from the Building Safer Communities Fund. That funding is available to us till 2026. Our city here was very helpful. The city of Maple Ridge, Dan Oliveri, many members of the team here, and Chad Cowles and his team in helping us stand up this unit with the funding and applications and grant and what have you. So this team does work out of police services. They've been operational for 2 weeks. they support high-risk youth or just youth in general needing support with in-home visits, connection to services in the community. Also, youth victims that are subject to cyberbullying, sextortion, and other criminal offenses. So it's very effective already. In its first 2 weeks, we've had 10 referrals from the community alone. And we expect to have more once the school district 42 is on board working with us and we have all those agreements in place. So a very good win for us. We also have our coordinated public safety response. What really the community does love to see and what feedback I get is that they really enjoy seeing visible officers out on foot, being out there in the community, in addition to traffic service support. So one of those teams are run by our specialized enforcement unit, but also we have initiatives that we do year round called Project Dovetail and Project Core. And we also run our ISAT team, which is our police volunteers, working with our police and community safety officers to just have more high level overt, showing the community, flying the flag and being out there. So that's something we prioritize year round when resources permit. We also did a bit of a scrub down of all of our positions in the detachment. We previously had a lot of years prior, a lot of police positions that were run by police officers. We were able to review those positions and civilianize them if we could. And by civilianizing some of those positions, we were able to put those police positions back out on the streets. So that's another area of fiscal responsibility for us, but also just preparing us for future growth and change. Another thing we really hope to achieve and have achieved in 2023, and we'll hope to continue on with this too, is really having a strong community footprint. We did a very large open house last year out here in the courtyard, which is well attended by many families and members of the public. So that was really good for branding and support of our detachment. So people to see our specialized units, our emergency response team was there. We had our police pups and we had all of our integrated forensic audit teams available just to showcase to the community and build those bonds with our public. And that ends our presentation, and we're moving on to recreation services, I guess. And if you have any questions for me,
we'll have two more presentations. But before you sit down, I just wanted to acknowledge the tough year that we've gone through here. I think on behalf of council, accept our condolences on the loss of Constable O'Brien. Really, it's a stark reminder of the job that you and your people do every single day. And we're so grateful for that. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, for that. And thank you as well to every member of council here and our city members here in the audience. We really felt that support. It was, it's our first and absolutely I'm hopeful it's our last on-duty death in Maple Ridge of a police officer. Yes, and we're very aware of the dangers of police work, but we felt so embraced by the community, and thank you for your support. We're grateful for it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to go to recreation services. And is it Sedalia?
Yes, yes, it is.
Got it right.
Now I'm Portuguese, so I'm just by nature super loud. So this mic is going to be super fun. Good morning, Mayor and Council. My name is Sedalia Martin. I am 12 days in, so this may not all roll off my tongue as easily as I'm used to, but recreation has been my passion since I was 16 years old. So I'm speaking with excitement and anticipation for what the recreation team has done and what they're going to continue to do in 2024. I'm also really excited to be here today with my team for the first time. Tony to the left here, Sean Healy up at the top, and Russ, who's behind me. They will be supporting me and answering any of your questions. Actually, they'll just be answering them, period. So as I get to learn, and I'm going to take up IT's spare minutes because I talk a lot. Okay. Recreation is a critical aspect to promoting health and wellness in communities. It's critical to childhood development, fosters strong and resilient youth, and unites people and communities. Maple Ridge's recreation services departments and the teams within it provide recreational, cultural, and social programs, services, and spaces while prioritizing accessibility, inclusivity, and investing in partnerships and opportunities to enhance the quality of life of residents and visitors to Maple Ridge. Our work is guided by several strategic documents, including the 2023 Parks, Recreation and Culture Master Plan, sports and physical activity strategies, youth strategy, culture plan, age-friendly action plan, and placemaking framework. Engaging and connecting with our community for their needs and wants will always remain our priority. My team consists of myself, an administration assistant, 3 passionate and knowledgeable leaders who I've introduced you to, and each with their number of FTEs totaling 90.2 FTEs total for our department. And I'm not biased at all, but because I just love rec. So I'm going to toot our horn a lot during this presentation and make sure you understand what we do. So starting with the Maple Ridge Leisure Center, the team is made up of a dynamic group of people. The manager of the center who I've introduced, community recreation manager, they manage the day-to-day operations of the building and the staff within it. 30 plus customer experience staff who welcome, inform, and service the residents of Maple Ridge with program registration and their service needs. A facility booking team who supports booking needs citywide, as well as school district 42 facilities. This includes sports teams, user groups, single rentals, and the famous weddings at Wannock, which I feel like I should have gotten married there because it's all I've heard about since I've been here. Aquatic children and youth, family, sports, and fitness program leads and staff. Maintenance team made up of custodial and technical staff who maintain facility cleanliness and maintenance standards. And you'll also find the arts, culture, and events team hard at work on the 2nd floor. Core services, I'm going to start off with the Maple Ridge Leisure Center and the Hammond Outdoor Pool. So Maple Ridge Leisure Center, that's been updated. Aquatic fitness classes that are run by Curtis Health. It also hosts swim meets, making it home to the Ridge Meadow Titans. And it also has other sport clubs with meets that use the facility: artistic, which if you're older like me means synchro, water polo, and Special Olympics. Some of the programs run out of the Leisure Center include swimming lessons for preschool, school-aged adults, and private swim lessons, as well as leadership aquatic courses, which is a stream of courses required to be a lifeguard who's currently contracted through LIT Aquatics. At the Hammond Outdoor Pool, we run swim lessons, more swim meets, home to the Haney Neptune Swim Club, public swim, and again, aqua fitness classes run by Curtis Health. And also is home to the Gregmore Youth Center. Moving on to, oh, wait a minute. I think I'm on the wrong slide here. Here we go. Community recreation. So this department went through a restructure earlier this year, which included some staff changes and moves to different roles, as well as bringing health, wellness, youth, community engagement, and wellness contracts and partnerships under the new title of community recreation. The Director of Recreation and Community Engagement became the Director of Recreation Services, allowing for a more streamlined, resilient, and community-minded model of recreation. Services included in this area are delivering leadership opportunities for local youth, program operations at the Gregmore Youth Center, delivering recreation therapy through Maple Ridge Mental Health Center, children and family programs, both at the Maple Ridge Leisure Center and Albion Community Center, recreation access, so financial assistance and supported programs through partners, as well as community partnerships and contracts. Committees that is also part of community recreation are committees of council, Municipal Advisory Committee on Accessibility and Inclusiveness, and the Social Policy Advisory Committee. Continues on because we do a lot there. Sport and fitness programming. Examples include mountain biking, skating, golf, lots of group fitness classes at the Maple Ridge Leisure Center and out in the community. So for example, yoga in the park, sport group and contract partners such as Sportability, Sportball, Imparo Tennis, and Just Fun Basketball. N49 Skating, who runs the lessons and programming out of Planet Ice, as well as management and allocation use throughout the year. Youth Services has a youth drop-in center 7 days a week for those 13 to 18 and 5 days a week for the 10 to 13-year-old age group. They do rock wall and bouldering, drop-in skateboard, scooter park, active sports nights, lots of neighborhood programming, youth mentorship programs, special events, youth week, media programs, youth council, Women in Action, Make It a Difference, cooking programs, and the youth concession. They also have some late night skating and some drop-in at Wanik. So lots of activities happening for the youth. Youth planning tables initiated by SPAC. The Maple Ridge Youth Strategy is a comprehensive document that outlines strategies to achieve foundation for community collaboration that enhances services and support for all youth and families and contributes to an optimal environment in which children, youth, and emerging adults can grow, work, and play. Children and family programs include day camps, so Pro-D, spring break day camps, winter break camps, all those things parents like to drop their kids off and avoid them for the summer. They manage contracts for 4 licensed childcare centers. Children, youth, and family programming also includes drop-in kids' playtime, one-day wonders, kids camps, safety programs, and partner programs such as Daddy and Me engineering programs, Story Blanket, and Beautiful. They support an implementation of a youth strategy, youth, age, and dementia friendly strategy as well. Lots of contracts for programming that we currently use, and you can see some of them listed here that help support programs we offer. And many community partners who support our programs and communities through their partnerships, their collaborations, and their expertise. All right, over to arts, culture, and events. This team always amazes me because they're a small team of 8. So they are currently looking at Albion Community Center operations. So they host a number of events there, including the Garibaldi Arts Club Fall Show, Lapidary event, Emerald Pig Theater Performance, Art Studio, Artisan Markets, Banquets, Métis, Harvest Dinners, Hospice, Oktoberfest, and many more. They run numerous children and family programs, and are also home to the Child Care Center run by the YMCA of Greater Vancouver. This team also leads 2 signature events, Canada Day and Celebrate the Night, co-led Remembrance Day and National Indigenous Peoples Day, ran 3 neighborhood city-led events this year called Rock the Block, community festival process they lead and are involved in, permits, grants, and support for 49 events and 119 event days in the city. 2 artist resident locations, a public art steering committee, single link for Arts Council and Historical Society, neighborhood small grants, cultural facility grants, and have worked hard to reconnect volunteerism with Maple Ridge events. And I'll remind you, that's a small team of 8. So now the good stuff, the impact the PRC team has made on the community so far this year. So Hammond Outdoor Pool this summer taught 234 kids to swim, had 7 private rentals, and ran 5 classes of aquafit a week during July to September 4th, and then up the ante there for the home stretch. When people normally wound down, they upped it to 7 classes per week. They provided 40 hours of public and length swimming per week, and once again upped it to 48 for the last stretch of September. The Maple Ridge Leisure Center year to date, and I'll remind you that these aren't including Q4, are open to the public 101 hours per week. They taught 6,359 kids to swim in our community. They graduated 38 youth from the junior lifeguard program. So hopefully that helps Michelle recruit them into our department. And they ran 16 classes of aqua fitness a week. They provided 74 hours of public lane swimming, 94 hours of leisure public swimming, and 32 hours of teach pool swim time, which is a great achievement, and knowing they have other user groups that are also using those spaces. The Albion Community Center had a total of 321 people attend Breakfast with Santa this weekend, including my own family, which was a wonderful event to witness. The 2023 Q3 report saw 884 rental hours and 12,348 in rental attendance. They developed an operating agreement and a strong relationship with School District 42 between the Albion Community Center and Sesquinella Elementary School, with shared parking and program spaces. In community recreation, so sports, fitness, and children, they had 825 participants attend group fitness classes so far, and 8,730 through community recreation programs such as camps, sports, skating, arts, etc. Some high-level business recreation plan achievement highlights this year, where they conducted and completed a review of fees and charges, designed a neighborhood arts programming pilot, delivered a presentation to raise awareness of the options the city has that supports low or no barrier access, developed service level expectations and performance measures with HR for customer experience when visiting the Maple Ridge Leisure Center and the Albion Community Center. They developed a civic approach to neighborhood programmings, hence implementing the 3 Rock the Blocks, and participated in hot summer nights, festivals, and events, working towards stronger volunteer engagement and recruitment. They delivered a minimum of 3 accessible Try It programs, developed framework, and have a new direction for placemaking and neighborhood programming. Last but not least, a comprehensive PRC volunteer program is now in place, which again strengthens volunteer opportunities within the city. And that's everything.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And you missed, I was a Viking in the production from Emerald Pig.
Oh,
over the
I did not know.
summertime. You missed that.
Russ didn't share that with me, so I'll have to follow up with him about that.
And another fun fact, Emerald Pig, people ask, what does that stand for? It's actually made up of Maple Ridge. It's an anagram.
Oh,
but I just thought I'd share that.
Thanks for sharing.
Useless information, but thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you. Thanks.
And now finally, we come to the person who's stopping us from having lunch. To the lifted strategy, development, communications, and public engagement. Thank you, sir.
Can I just say how much I enjoy going last and following Sid and all of that. So
put an A in
thank
front
you,
of your
man.
name and you'll go first.
All right.
Sorry, you can't do that.
Great, perfect. So good morning, almost good afternoon, Mayor Rumi and members of council. I'm very happy today to talk to you about the Strategic Development, Communications and Public Engagement Department and the core services. So the department itself is organized into 2 primary lines of business, strategic development and communications and public engagement. These are both incredible and dedicated teams. And as you can see on the org chart over there, each have a manager. So on corporate communications, we have Pardeep Purewell, who's our senior manager of corporate communications and public engagement. And then Dan Olivieri, who is our manager of corporate planning and consultation. And each of those, so we have 6 on the communication side under Pardeep and 2 under Dan in the strategic development side. From a high level, the role of the communications team is to keep the community informed, to consult the public and interest holders on key priorities and projects through engagement activities, and to amplify the Maple Ridge story, promoting the city's community, its cultural and recreational amenities, and its strong economic foundations. The strategic development team, on the other hand, drives transformational efforts that implement high-impact strategic initiatives aimed at key priorities such as customer experience, efficiency and effectiveness through continuous improvement, enhanced service delivery through innovation, and driving strategic alignment across the organization. Additionally, the strategic development team is tasked with advancing climate action and resilience planning, prioritization, and implementation to support the city's goals of moving towards a more resilient and low carbon future. As a whole, this department provides advice, expertise, and resources to departments, as well as to mayor and council, ranging from advice on engagement and communications planning and implementation, as well as the provision of data and reports to support decision-making. So moving over to core services, as seen on this and the next slide, the core services provided by the communications team include the dissemination of communications, both internally and externally, to ensure that the community and the organization are well informed about key information, such as council's decisions and new information about strategic priorities, etc. The team additionally supports all departments with communications and engagement planning. They conduct marketing campaigns to increase awareness of the city's vision, and they manage the city's digital assets, such as Engage Maple Ridge, Alert Maple Ridge, the website, and the various social media channels to ensure that the community has access to both timely and easy to access information and services. The communication team additionally maintains relationships with local and regional media, oversee the effective use of the city's corporate identity and brand, and they ensure that the public is kept informed during emergencies such as extreme weather events, Finally, the team provides a variety of communications products, including graphic design for digital and various print purposes. Moving over to the strategic development team, this team looks at the big picture of how the strategic priorities and their related actions align and perform across the organization. They do this by creating linkages between the strategic priorities, organizational initiatives, and service delivery, and by providing frameworks and tools that track performance relative to council strategic priorities. Additionally, the team helps to cultivate a culture of continuous improvement and agility by providing those tools and methodologies, initiating pilot projects, and providing training and continuous improvement implementation support services that offer direct support to departments. In terms of strategic planning, the team can provide support and coordination to assist with the planning process and can additionally provide program support such as process mapping or change management to assist those departments and project teams with successful implementations. The strategic development team additionally leads project implementations for various corporate initiatives. And in 2024, the team will be leading a variety of corporate projects. Additionally, the corporate planning and consultation component of the strategic development team manages the process of grant research, grant application development, and grant reporting, as well as providing supportive business services such as data analysis and data visualizations to support decision-making. Finally, the team advances the city's climate action planning and coordinates the city's implementation of climate action priorities. Moving over to achievements in 2023, the communications team has led the redevelopment of the city's new website, which is about to go into beta testing mode and which will go live early next year. Additionally, the team has launched a new brand strategy and a visual identity, a new engagement platform called Engage Maple Ridge, an expansion of Alert Maple Ridge, and provided foundational training on the IAP2 framework for departments, with IAP2 being the International Association of Public Participation. And that framework, which will roll out next year, will help us better and more effectively engage with the community and interest holders. Additionally, the team has supported departmental and corporate efforts, including the 3 leadership summits and the various seasonal efforts this year. And then finally, but not by no means least, some of the achievements of the strategic development team include assisting key operating departments with process mapping and enhancing the development approval process, establishing and implementing the OKR framework and related governance structures, launching the development of the climate action plan and completing the climate action roadmap, facilitating the introduction of an agile culture workshop in preparation for a 2024 pilot of agile culture, which is a best practice approach to leading business improvement, and also supported the development of the Housing Action Plan application for the Housing Accelerator Fund. So with that, Mayor and members of council, I thank you for the opportunity to present today, to share some context about the work of communications and strategic development, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. And I will say that it's really exciting to see and hear from all the people I speak with that your efforts, your whole team's efforts on getting the messaging out there, people are seeing it. And, you know, everything's really positive. And I think that's something that we need to continue to do and continue to expand on, because it's keeping people informed about what we're doing and how we're doing it. So congratulations on that. Excellent. At this point, we'll open up for questions, starting off with Councillor Tan, followed by Councillor Youssef, followed by Councillor Herrera.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to share a note of appreciation to all the departments, and particularly to strategic. And it's a long title. That's the strategic one. I say, like, just on the list of achievements, like all the work that your department has done with the Mayor's Climate Task Force has really been exceptional. And I just can see and tell from you that you have a long list of things to do, and that's certainly no small thing that you do with the Climate Task Force in preparation for it. So just really wanted to share my appreciation. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Youssef.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I echo the gratitude to all the presenters and the departments that have come before us today. I'm very happy to see Mr. Lifshitz stepping into this role and to see that the corporation does have its own voice, as Mr. Hartman will attest to. That was one thing last term that I was really driving forward to for and wanted to see come to fruition. So thank you for all the work that you have been doing and the work that you will be continuing to do. Secondly, Mr. Chair, to police services, I'd like to also echo the comment earlier about the possibility of working with Fraser Health to ensure that we have a mental health nurse to alleviate the time that officers are spending addressing those issues, de-escalation of situations, and possibly allowing them to step away once a person is, for lack of a better word, delivered to the hospital, so that way they can carry on with the actual police work. Very pleased to see much more visibility in our downtown and throughout the community. So thank you for that. That goes a long ways in making sure that our community is feeling safe and secure. And lastly, to planning, if I may, Mr. Chair. I've always been a big fan of area plans, as our municipality has quite diverse neighborhoods and different characteristics, as was noted earlier, that even our topography does present its own challenges. Going back to the recent provincial legislation that's been rolled out, i.e. Bill 44, through you, Mr. Chair, to our planning director, how much control does the city still have within our borders to plan and to designate certain areas to either build in that density or to not? And follow up to that, how much consultation was done with our planning department in this particular case from the province to roll out this legislation?
Through the chair, the province is mandating this legislation provincially. There has not been an extensive consultation process at the municipal or the regional level. We will have the opportunity in the next couple of months to provide feedback and better assessment as to how it impacts our city. There is a working group coming together at the regional level. Professional associations are in the process of providing feedback. We yet don't have answers to that question, but we are strategizing and taking the approach that it is a positive opportunity, and that municipalities who show creativity and responsibility and initiative, there will be opportunities to us. Additional information is going to be provided to us by the middle of January. It'll probably take us a few weeks to assess and assimilate the information, and we'll be in a better position at the end of January to provide you with a more comprehensive position.
Thank you very much for that. And I look forward to having that information and to the ability of still being able to implement our area plans, as we here in Maple Ridge know our city better than the province would. Thank you very much for that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And moving on to Councilor Carreras.
Thank you. Thanks to everybody who's presented. It's been quite the morning. And last year when we went through some of this stuff, it really was like the fire hose coming at you. And now I'm like, oh, okay, get it now. You're into this. It's like, wow. Okay. Couple of things. Many of us, in particular me, have really been focused a lot on youth, and how working with our youth is how we really deal with some of the more acute areas, acute issues within our community and support and work. And so it's really wonderful to hear about the first program. And not only that, our school district was the pilot for the integrated child and youth teams. We've just been announced we're a pilot for the youth emergency shelter. And I don't think this can be answered now, but I'm throwing this out there because I think we could have a further discussion on this. I would really love to hear more about how all of these supports for youth are working together for the betterment of youth. Because now we have first, we have, well, the SD 42, obviously, we have mental, Ministry of Child and Family Development, we have Child Youth Mental Health, we have the Integrated Child and Youth teams, we have YES, we have the Greg Moore team, and all the amazing work being done through our recreation facility. And I'd love to have just a larger, and Foundry is the other one. And I don't know if it's like a roundtable or just a presentation, but I would just love to hear more about how they're all working together to support youth as we move forward, because I do believe that that work is going to help us for some of the larger issues, social issues that we're dealing with in our community.
It's a great question, and I don't say that lightly, because there was recent conversations at the youth planning table that I was at. Councillor Tan was there a week or two ago, I think, Jenny, where we actually had a conversation around all of the work that's going on in the community right now. And as well, at the same time, there's also this youth strategic plan that's kind of sitting there as well.
That's on my list.
So what I've asked the staff to do is for the next youth planning table meeting or upcoming meetings to look at doing a major update to the youth strategic plan. So that will at least identify a bit of a path as far as what's completed, what's still outstanding, and what's new, because we don't have that picture right now. As you've indicated, there's a number of new initiatives that have come on the scene of late that we've taken stock of and that we have tried to incorporate within our programming. But I think I'd be remiss to say that once we have the update done to the strategic plan, that would be the time, I think, Councillor Carreras, for us to do an update to council and then discuss where we're going and what our next steps look like. So it's a great point, and I think it's something that Tony and his team, and certainly Sedalia now in her new role, are certainly keen to want to make sure that we're in alignment, but more importantly, that we're making use of the resources in the community across the entire spectrum.
Yeah, and that the youth strategy, when we do redo it, doesn't just get done and sit on a shelf, which I think has happened a bit. Is there needs to be some actual dollars attached to the implementation of that youth strategy. And I'm really grateful to have all these great resources in our community for youth. I think it's important. And it'd be also great to see some of the data on youth and if we're seeing some improvements. I would imagine that recreation staff deal with the EDIs and MDIs and YDRs and things like that. But I have to say it's one of the things I miss the most about school board coming to city is just how the youth are doing.
Yeah.
So I'd be curious to know more. And then I have one more question for recreation. There was a reference to low and no barrier access. I'm just wondering if I can get a little more information as to what low and no barrier access, what it was referring to. Was Sedalia that was, or Tony, not sure which program.
I'll ask Mr. Cotroneo to answer
It
that.
sounded like it was a session to talk about it, but I'm curious about access to recreation.
So I know that like we're just starting our work on an inclusion and access strategy that's in draft form. And within that strategy, we are looking to, I'm trying to best put this because it's in draft form, but best ways that we can allow access to our program that for people who don't generally know how to access our programs. Mm-hmm. So an example would be, we know we're going to fill up every after school program in the world, but we also know that we're not catching the most vulnerable population. We're just catching the population that knows how to register and has the immediate funds to register. So that's, you know, what my response is to that.
Okay, so the no barrier or low barrier access not only is going to be financial based and barrier free, but also I would imagine accessibility and mobility wise as well.
Absolutely.
So
and that's part of the plan.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we go to Councillor Tan, any first round? Nope. All right, Councillor Tan, you have the last word, I guess.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to follow on Councillor Carreras's great questions around the on both pieces there. Just on the youth strategy, I just wanted to know, I know Director Martin is new, and is there a staff liaison that works across all these departments to implement the youth strategy? I know the youth strategy from that the previous council worked on had all these interdepartmental implications, and I just want to know sort of who holds that.
I heard youth strategy, but you may need to clarify the rest of the question for me.
So when the youth strategy, when I looked through the youth strategy, there were things on planning, there's things that touch transportation and engineering, and I'm curious, is there a staff position that holds this and liaises with the different departments to ensure that strategy gets implemented? Or not yet, or maybe in the future?
Yeah, well, ideally, when we began our implementation strategy, we obviously included all the departments to see what was feasible and how they can support. So that's done in the forefront. It's our job as soon as we're on the individual task that's recommended, I will engage with all departments and ensure that their support is still there, or they're, feasibly we can afford to do it at that time. So.
Great, thank you. I know you're a busy man, so I just want to make sure. I know
Busiest.
I can imagine.
Just
It's a large claim to make, but I can imagine that. And so I just want to make sure that, I know that working across departments is a large, this large, where I saw, some of those implementation pieces, things like, ensure that we have, that like public transportation is sufficient for youth across, and that's a large job for you to work with engineering to make sure that
absolutely
happens. So I just want to make sure that we understand what you need on that front for those international departmental connections to happen. So
Agreed.
that champion piece.
I appreciate it, and that's in my job to link the heads of the department to ensure that these things happen.
Thank you, Manager.
Okay.
And I just have this last piece about just on the low barrier access streets. It's a very specific question. Have we ever done loony or toonie swims in Maple Ridge, and what has the reception on that been like?
I didn't catch that.
Loony toonie swims. So when you go into a swim, you pay $1 or you pay $2 and you have access to swimming. Just tends to be an access. It tends to be a way for low, sort of financially challenged families to access swimming programs, because the swimming cost, the cost of walking into a swimming pool has gone up substantially in the past. And I know that, the cost of swimming and using the pool is something that, does come at a high cost to the city. But I'm just curious whether that's something that Maple Ridge has ever implemented.
Sorry, Councillor Tan, I'm not here to answer the swimming questions, but
That's okay, Wendy. I can. You go ahead.
yeah, no, that's not my department. But I was listening to Tony talk about what you were asking about linking of youth services. And what I thought I would mention is that the Ridge Meadows First program, we actually have 2 employees that are hired by the city. One is a counselor and one is an outreach worker. They work very closely with Tony's department. So if you're looking for someone who's linking youth to all resources, this team is actually very helpful. They're measuring how they do their work as well every month. So they're able to help high-risk youth or families connect to recreation services, connect to breakfast programs if need be, connect to learning, and connect to all different areas throughout the city. So there is a connecting base with that team. So I just heard that being mentioned as I was sitting in my chair. I thought I'd help them out with that question.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Superintendent.
And as for the swimming stuff, I'll let someone else answer that.
I got it, Superintendent Mihot. Thanks. We have in the past, and we also offer programs and opportunities on long weekends and stat holidays as well, Councillor Tan. So yes, we do have programs available on special events for price reductions as far as admissions are concerned.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Excellent. All right. Seeing as how there's no other comments or questions, we are going to adjourn, but we're back at